that you would bless us. Oh God, you will be in our midst. We ask, oh Heavenly Father, that you bless our chairperson, Lord, and all the other members of the executive. We ask, oh God, that you'll allow decency and, oh God, sincerity to prevail in this meeting. We pray, oh God, that you'll give us all understanding hearts and minds. Help us, oh God, to do the people's business as thus saith the Lord. We pray, Lord, you bless us all tonight. Give us a good meeting as we endeavor to serve your people. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very, very much, Ted. So before beginning, I would like to share the agenda for those that do not have a copy of it. So board members, you should have a copy of the agenda in front of you, simply because of the fact that it was mailed out. For everyone else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here, and hopefully you can see the agenda in front of you. So can everybody see the agenda in front of you?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, great. So the first thing that we're going to do is the public gallery session, which we do every month. And of course, this month is going to be led by our second vice chair, Mr. John Isaac, and I will be his timekeeper. So we will start with that. Then we're going to go hear from our elected officials. And then we're going to hear from Ms. Alexis Ruiz, who will be representing the Bronx Borough President and giving words from Madam Borough President Gibson. Then, of course, my report, the district manager's report. Then we'll approve the board member minutes, which I believe we have the minutes from January. I do not know if we have the minutes from February as of yet, but nonetheless, we will do that. Our treasurer will give the financial report, and then we have a special guest or guest, which I can't wait to hear again their presentation. Then from there, we're going to go on to committee recommendations, and we have 3 recommendations in which we need to vote on tonight. And then time permitting, we're going to wrap up some old business, new business, and then, of course, go into the good and welfare and adjournment. So this is the agenda that we will be following. If there are any amendments to the agenda, then please let me know if we need to add anything to that. So what I'm going to ask is for someone to make a motion that we accept the agenda as printed unless there are any amendments.
So moved.
Without objection?
Second.
So ordered. So thank you very, very much. And so to that end, Mr. Isaac, you are up. So as I said, normally so this part of the meeting is the public gallery. And so normally this is an opportunity for you, the public, to say whatever you would like to the board. And without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to our second vice chair, Mr. John Isaac. Mr. Isaac, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, everyone. We have 3 minutes for everyone that wants to speak. If you could raise your hand or put it in the chat so I can acknowledge you, and let me see if we have any speakers. I'm not seeing anyone, Dr. Burke.
Okay, so do they know how to raise their hand? Yes, no. So in order to raise I see something here. In order to raise your hand, there's a raise hand button that is below. So John, I'm gonna turn it back over to you. And if we don't hear anybody, then we'll move forward.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I was I'm having difficulty raising my hand.
Okay, you're on, sir.
Okay, this is Moses Dees. In one of the previous meetings, or several of them, we talked about the illegal automotive shop on Baychester Avenue between East 241st Street and Camp Street. When I mentioned it in the previous meeting, Mr. Torres indicated that there were some matters with that, and we thought that the time was not sufficient at the last meeting to talk about this matter. So that's my Okay, so now since the last meeting, a lot of activity is still going on in that area. There's been, and I'm not blaming this on any of the automotive activity, but there's been some police shooting in that vicinity. And this past week, I think they had the area was the cops were surveilling the area. They were parked up there day and night, and there was one of those spot cameras too in that location. Now, I'm not relating this to any automotive activity, but since that operation has been up there, there's been increased activity in that area. So I guess I wanted to know where the board is on this. I brought this up in Wakefield Taxpayers Association meeting this past week, and Councilman Denowitz and indicated that he, in collaboration with Councilman Riley, was going to be looking into that. Early on, we weren't clear, and perhaps still not clear, which district that location is in, because it has been punted, if that's the word, back and forth. And so that's my concern, with that area. And I guess it's in the board's hand right now, as based on what I understood the participation with Mr. Torres last time. The other question that I had, a lot of things brought up at these meetings, such as what I just mentioned, and they're discussed, never see any kind of a closure or resolution on any of these issues. And that, I would appreciate, someone addressing those in terms of, I guess, minutes. And so sort of scattered in my thinking, but it's just some frustrations that even causing my incoherence right now with these long-standing issues of which nobody seems to be able to resolve. So let me take another 1 minute. I think I have 1 more minute left.
Actually, you will have 6 seconds left.
Well, okay, then let me just say, an investigator called me about some of these matters because I filed agency complaints. And
okay, so Mr. Dees, your time is up. So we're gonna try to address some of this right now. So George, I know your name was called, and then I'm gonna come in on the back end.
Yeah, I know that this is not new, as Moses said. He's reached out to me. He's reached out to the 4-7 precinct. The last time there was an enforcement action, there is no confusion about what district this is. This is in the Wakefield community, the Baychester area that you're referring to, or the Nereid Avenue Bridge. That's all Baychester. That's all Eric Dinowitz's area. But there is a meeting. Dinowitz's office is here, as is Mr. Councilmember Riley's office. They reached out to me to have a meeting. They want to do a site visit. What we had discussed with Councilmember Riley's office some time ago was identifying a parcel within the district that could help deal with that. People could park these tractor trailers, and that was pretty much it. That is not something that's going to happen overnight. This is a longstanding issue. There are areas within the Bronx. This is not germane just to our district. This happens in Community Board 10 along Bruckner. This happens in Hunts Point. This happens in our neighborhood. I'm not making an excuse for it, but the Community Board is not an enforcement agency. Again, I know that Moses brings this up at the precinct council meetings. He brings this up everywhere. There is enforcement for a while, but then that's it. I mean, this is something that the administration has to dedicate resources to. They have to either tow the vehicles. The last time enforcement was in the form of putting boots on the vehicles. And that was it. And the thing is that it's overwhelming because even though they do enforcement for one day or, a couple of days, that's it. They don't do it every day. And that's what has to happen. This is a problem that exists all over our district, on Edson, on Webster, on Baychester. And, we have to hold our people accountable. They have to put money into this. They're putting money into all sorts of other things. And, not necessarily doing this. So, you know, again, the stuff that we're talking with the council members about is not going to happen overnight. I wouldn't even imagine that it happens within their tenure, because you're going to have to go through, you're going to have to identify a parcel, you're going to have to pay for it, you're going to have to retrofit it so that it can accommodate all these vehicles. That takes years. So while we're in the process of doing all that, there also has to be an enforcement component, and I don't see the NYPD following through on that.
Mr. Torres, that is not the issue. I think maybe you probably didn't understand me. It was not having to do with these tractor trailers at all.
Oh, what's the issue?
The location that we have spoken to you in various meetings, the location on Baychester Avenue across the street from Bissell Garden, where both sides of the street, there are parked cars there, 24/7, abandoned looking cars, many of them no license plates. Auto shop is being there, and allegedly, I think the last time we talked, that there were some issues that seems to be unique to that area. Sanitation has been involved. I have spoken with sanitation, and everybody seems to pass, the kind of buck. And as you might know, prior to the pandemic, we discussed this thing face to face in one of the District 11 meetings. And I think you're very aware of the colors of the vehicles and everything. So let's take out the tractor trailer. That's a dead weight thing. That is never going to happen. That's been going on 25 years. I agree with you. I don't see that happening. The community is going to have to make that happen, and there's a way to do that. But right now, I'm talking about that location where police activity has increased in that area. It's concerning.
I'll look. I don't want to say that I'm going to look into it, because we make the complaints. If the car does not have a license plate, it is the responsibility of the Department of Sanitation to remove the vehicle. If it has a license plate, then it's the responsibility of the NYPD. They do a rotational tow. You know that very well. As a matter of fact, you had told me a story that your car got pinched in one of those situations.
I don't want to interrupt you. No, not absolutely not. They came to my house because I thought it was a personal vendetta. It was in the front of my driveway. Completely different. I guess, what you're saying, I don't mean to just go with this. Then we need to talk about this, okay? Because there's misunderstanding, confusion. That's why I asked earlier about minutes and meetings and how we identify issues.
I agree with you. We should have minutes. We should have minutes. We're not very good on that, but we'll continue to follow up. I mean, I personally make these complaints all the time. So again, it's not, and it is the same thing. It's whether it's trucks or cars. People call 311. They make the complaint. If it's a car that has a license plate, the NYPD will not tow it. As a matter of fact, I'm friends with many elected officials on their Facebook pages, and they post when they make these type of enforcement activities. They'll say, oh, we took 47 vehicles. And the very next day, there'll be another onslaught of vehicles there. So, Moses, again, this is an enforcement action that is required of the NYPD and the sanitation department. Sanitation department usually doesn't take a long time. Again, if it doesn't have a plate, they'll take it. I mean, that's been my experience.
Let me tell you, look, I'm getting just give me one.
Can we do this? Can we do this? Because we have
sanitation is really on it. Moses, okay, it's a collaboration between the agencies we have to work on.
Mr. Moses. Okay, so we understand what you're saying, but again, so Mr. Torres is going to take care of this, but I'm sure we have other people that want to speak. So instead of let's going back and forth on this, you talk with Mr. Torres, like I said, either in the chat or offline. But the bottom line is it is being taken care of. And as he stated, that we're not an enforcement agency. We can only do so much and no more. Okay, so let's go ahead. You speak with Mr. Torres. He will handle it, and we'll go forth. All right. All right. Thank you. Mr. Second Vice Chair.
Yes, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Virginia Sanders.
Good evening, Ms. Sanders. You're on.
Good evening. I'm president of the Wakefield Taxpayers and Civic League. I just want to, in re-innovate what I've spoken previously, that between Barnes Avenue on the Wakefield area, all the way to 41st Street, almost the White Plains, that area is nasty and filthy. All the way where the bus terminal is, people are throwing garbage all over the place there. And if the dogs, cacas on the opposite side of the street. So we got a very nasty area going on, which is unsanitary for us to have to walk those streets. And that's it.
Great.
So, Ms. Sanders, I think we've unfortunately we've had quite a few sanitation issues going on. So I think one of the things that we have reconstituted was our environmental concerns committee. And so outside of our district manager and Ursula Green, our community associate, I don't know when Ms. Carla Borsardi, by the way, is the chairperson of that committee. So I don't know when they're going to have another meeting or not. Maybe it's in April, maybe May. But one thing, Ms. Sanders, you always can reach out to me as well as George and Ursula. But what we probably need to do, because there are a couple of issues that we need to deal with in the neighborhood, is that when Ms. Borsardi has this meeting, have somebody from DSNY there, and so that you can make that known. I know that I've seen some stuff that some board members have presented to us, and I think we need to make them aware of what's going on, so that again, we can hold their feet to the fire. Mrs. Sanders, you know about how I work. I believe in holding people's feet to the fire, and again, we're not here to we're here to do the work of the community, but at the same time make certain that we're getting the services that we deserve, because we're taxpayers too. So I'm in agreement with you. So let's see what we can do between you, myself, Mr. Torres, Ms. Prasadi, and Ursula to make that happen, so that you can at least make this known to the proper people, okay?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Not a problem, Ms. Sanders. You take care, okay?
Hello, hi. My name is Xiomara. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Right on. I am new to, prayerfully I'll be on the board. And my concern tonight is twofold. The streets here on 219th and White Plains Road, up until like maybe 216th, I ride a hoverboard. And so I'm seeing that the street is the pavement itself is uneven. I've already launched a complaint about it. I haven't gotten any follow-up about it as yet. I did speak to, I want to say her name is Maria, the person that introduced me to the board or interviewed me for the board. But that is a concern. We have a bike lane, and I want to thank you so much for the bike lane, implementing it. But as bikes or skateboards or hoverboards, in my case, are not safe on the street from 219th until like around basically Gun Hill Road. I would go ahead and have them repaved, especially the those bike lanes. And that is all. Oh, yeah, I said twofold, didn't I? And the other thing was I'm launching a business for I'm trying to launch a business for the community. It will be a school for an art school, all-inclusive faith-based art school. It would be free for the community. It would be comparable to a college, but it will not offer any credits. And I'm trying to get that launched as we speak, and I could use all the support that I can gather. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. So let me tackle the first things first. I mean, your second question first. So now, I mean, obviously, as a board, we're here to support community residents in all of their endeavors. What we can do probably is, point you in the direction of the people who can assist you with that, as far as, the requirements, because I'm sure that there may be licensing requirements and stuff that may be necessary. So we can point you in that direction. as far as that's concerned. As far as the paving and so forth on 219th Street, did I hear you correctly that you wanted the streets repaved?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Mhm.
Again, they just did that. So again, I know that there's some loose, are you talking about the loose bricks?
No, I'm talking about the pavement itself. It's warped, and it is uneven. It is cracked. Yeah, you might want to take a look at that.
Yeah, okay.
I could,
Okay,
I
let me
could
take,
give you pictures of what I'm speaking of.
if you can do that, please, just like I said, I'll put my email in the chat, and then as I said, send it myself, the district manager, or Ursula Green, as I said, and have them, we can take a look at it. I normally walk those streets, and maybe I just overlooked it, and to see what you're talking about, because I know there was some work that was just done there fairly recently. So we'll take a look and then see if that is something that can be done. Okay.
All
George, you
right.
want to chime in? Is there anything
Maybe
you
I
want
can
to add?
explain. I think I
Yeah.
might be able to explain what's happening there.
Okay.
But what happened is that once they put the bike lanes in, normally when you're putting bike lanes in, you would repave the street just for the bike. But in our case, they just mark the street without any type of paving. So you still have the old pavement, and this was not designed for bike. So that's why it's very uneven. It's cracked in a lot of places.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
So,
It is I live right across the street from the food town there on 217th. And from where I live to, say, Western Beef, I can ride very comfortably. But from my house going to White Plains, to 219th, it is dangerous for me.
Ursula has
The bike lane, and then sometimes I have to cross the street. So the whole road is not it's not right.
Go ahead, Urs. You're muted, Urs.
Sorry. I just want to say I did email the acting commissioner Keith. The request is in the repave White Plains Road from the city line to Burke.
And to add to that, the community board voted for the bike lanes. I think it was from whatever it is now, and we had requested it to the city limit, which was 243rd Street. They were in our office a week ago because they're doing the survey now of all the businesses because they're going to continue the bike lane past
That's awesome.
233rd Street.
Good.
But to Ted's point and to your point, you're absolutely right. The surveyor from DOT that came out was amazed because, to Ted's point, they didn't repave the bike lanes. They just painted it, which is horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ted is absolutely right. Usually when you approve these sorts of things, but this is what happens because DOT they have this, again, it's not a bad thing. They have an obsession to put bike lanes everywhere, and we wanted them, so we're happy that they did them. But generally speaking, they're done as some part of like some sort of capital commitment, which then gives them money to repave the street. I thought Ursula was going to speak to the fact we have made the request to repave White Plains Road forever. I mean, the last 6 years that we have been here, that I've been here, we've asked for White Plains Road to be repaved and everything. And all they gave us was the bike lanes. And we're hoping that even with the new bike lanes, that hopefully they address your concerns that the road is uneven. But we don't know. I mean, that's ultimately they're doing this without capital money. And there's a distinction because they're doing it with in-house money, meaning it's not millions of dollars. They literally just paint the floors. I saw that Cynthia from Councilmember Riley's office was also had her hand up. I don't know if she wanted to address this issue.
And Reynard.
So I'll give.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Cynthia.
All right, so two things. One, I actually use the e-scooter program, so I'm very aware of the issue, having tried to navigate it many times before. But I also want to bring up the fact that that is something we've advocated for, and we're also have street resurfacing as an item on our participatory budgeting. So please stay tuned for participatory budgeting, and that's something you could potentially vote for. It will be on the ballot.
Thank you.
Right on. Right on.
Reynard, you're muted.
I apologize. I had to unmute myself. I'm unfamiliar with this particular platform. I usually use Zoom or Teams. I apologize for coming in late. That was the issue. I wasn't familiar, and I didn't know I had to download another app in order to get this particular program. So I was late. I apologize. My name is Reynard Gainey. I'm a resident, of course, of the Bronx. I am a newly formed 501c3 program for youth and community services. My intention is to create a clubhouse for youth, young males, to bring back some old school values, to instill in some things in that some of our youth have forgot, how to tie, how to, skills, basic skills. So I want to join the community board. I want to be active in the community, and I want to give a hand to our young males growing up. So I'm presenting myself to the board. I'd like to be a member, and I would like to create this program for our young males in the community.
Right on. May I just offer that I just said the same thing. My name is Xiomara, and I likewise am new to the board. I actually have not been officiated in. I have one interview coming, and I am on the same mission. And that is not the reason why I joined the board, just so everyone knows. It is not to further perpetuate my business, but rather to make a difference in my community, as we are seeing a lot of violence happening. That was what prompted my vision, which is very similar to yours. And it is also non-for-profit for the community at large, and not just youth, for all people to find their purpose, to help them find their purpose.
I work for two major hospitals. I work for Mount Sinai Beth Israel, and I work for Cornerstone Medical Arts. I am a substance abuse counselor. So I deal with individuals.
30 seconds.
Okay, ranging from 18 on up. That's my purpose, to be someone in the community, to catch them before they get to that point. I have people on my caseload who are 78, 80 years old. So if we're not available to them at this age, they're going to be there on that age. So I agree.
Okay, so Renan, so your time is up. So let me address your concern as well as Mr. James' concern. So as far as board membership, normally, in fact, the application process just closed. I think the applications were open from November, and I want to say they closed on March the 4th. So if you turned in the application prior to March the 4th, then your application would be under review. If you did not do that, then of course you would probably have to wait until the next cycle to apply to be a member of the board. And again, those applications can be found at, it's not on our website as Community Board 12. You can always go to the borough president's website and download the application. But as I said, the application period just closed on March the 4th for this incoming cycle. However, you do not have to be on the community board to do community board service, right? So in other words, all of our committees are open to community residents. So you do not have to be a board member in order to participate on any committee. So it sounds like if your activities are more youth oriented, Then, of course, we just had a education and youth development meeting this past Tuesday, which, of course, Ms. Toline Dickerson is the chair of that committee. If you're into more cultural affairs, I think Mrs. Claude just let everybody know that her meeting is coming up on April 4th. She's the chairwoman of that committee. So there are several committees that we have that you can participate in without being a board member. So that's not just for you or Ms. James, that's for anybody that is a non-board member that has the community at large. Case in point, I see Professor Banks is here tonight, and hello, Professor Banks, glad to see you. Professor Banks just gave an outstanding presentation on Tuesday, and we also had Dr. Dees come in earlier in the month. Again, both of these accomplished ladies are members of the community. They're not members of the community board, but they came in and they did the work at the specific committee level. So again, you can do that work without being on the board. But as far as the applications are concerned, the board applications were closed on March the 4th. So again, I invite you to do the work with us. And if you still choose to be on the board, that's great. Then hopefully you'll get in the next session. And again, we have no input as to who makes a board and who doesn't. That's pretty much up to the discretion of the borough president herself. But you know, all I can say is we look forward to working with you either way. Okay.
Yes.
Right on, right on. Thank you.
You're welcome.
May I speak?
Yes,
Sir,
Ms.
may
Echeverria,
I speak?
you can speak.
Okay, my name is Denise Echeverria. I'm from Community Board 12. I own my own home. I'm a union carpenter. I just want to make available that on April 13th, 8 a.m. at 395 Hudson Street in Manhattan, we will be having an open house. It's really great for our youth to go there. It's an alternative for college education, and we would like to open up the floor for anyone that wants to go there. So it's 395 Hudson Street in Manhattan. It's apprenticeship applications, and anyone that wants to be put on for pre-apprenticeship applications can go there.
Denise, is there any way you could put it in the chat for us?
All right.
All right. Michelle Bloomfield? Sean?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You wanted to talk?
Well, I have a question. Well,
No,
yes,
Ms.
I have
Bromfield is a board member, so this is not her.
So it's
She has a question for whom?
Okay, it's fine.
I'm gonna talk at Community Speaks, I guess.
You got a question, Ms. Bromfield?
I did, but I know I'm a board member. But
No,
I'm a resident
who's the
of
question for?
community.
Is it for the board or is it for one of the people that just spoke?
No, it was a community concern that I had, but I
Okay.
can, if I don't,
Right, yeah,
because I'm not.
yours can come under new business.
Okay. All right. Fine.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before we close? I want to proceed to close. Go one more time and check. I can't pronounce this name. Gakere.
Right, it's Wahanga Gakere, and thank you for trying.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry about that noise. I am glad to be at this meeting today. I am at Mind Builders Creative Arts Center in the Bronx. And so today I just wanted, in line with the youth programs that have just been spoken about right now, I wanted to say that we're happy that the youth internship program application is now opened. It's a paid internship for 14 to 21-year-olds at Mind Builders, and it starts in the summer. However, in July. However, the applications are open now, so we invite you to send your teens to 21-year-olds to mind builders and apply for this paid internship. I feel like I can say it's a really fun one. So you're welcome for that. And in addition, on Sunday, August 3rd, we will be having a presentation by this same program, so your young ones can come and see what it looks like at the Bronx Music Heritage Center at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. All right, so I'm going to put some information about Mind Builders on the chat if you want, and then you could check that out. All right.
All right, thank you. Ms.
Awesome.
Patterson, Ms. Patterson? Ms. Patterson?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I hope everyone is well. I just have a commendation to give. I need to thank Ursula and George because they helped me from having to go to a mental institution for the last week, 2 weeks. We've had Con Ed that have replaced our gas pipes, which date back to 1923. But we didn't get any notice. We were out of gas. Some of us stayed without gas. Coal cannot cook for 3 days. It was just miserable, absolutely miserable. And Con Edison did not help, but I must say Ursula and George did the very best they could where Con Edison was concerned. This seems like it's going to be a long-term project because it was an emergency project for our street because DOT will be paving our street in April, and they said that they'll be in the street between April and June. So George and Ursula, be on the lookout for me again because if DOT treats us the way Con Edison treats us, I'll be on your phone again. Have a good evening, everyone, and stay well.
All right. Ms. Dickerson?
Yes, good evening, everybody. I'm glad to see everyone is safe. I just wanted to make sure that everyone, Mr. Reynard, Ms. Echevarria, Ms. James, and don't kill me, Ms. Wahanga, please. But I am the education chair. All of my information is in the chat. So please feel free to contact me with anything or any ideas you have. Okay? Everybody be blessed.
Thank you, Ms. Dickerson. I will be in touch. My name is Xiomara. You're just who I would like to speak to.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. You'll be hearing from me.
Okay, great. Mr. Chairman and the
Yes,
board, this conclude community speak, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Second Vice Chair. Community Speaks is now closed. So again, thank you for everybody that came to present your concerns and or announcements to us. And again, please put your information in the chat so that the appropriate committee chairs can reach out to you. So from this point forward, if you're not being spoken to or you're not speaking, I'm going to ask that you be courteous to everybody and mute yourselves or keep yourselves muted. Because A, I don't want to have to lock everybody down, but more importantly, B, that's it's sufficient so that everybody can hear us. Because again, as I said before, we are on TV, we are on Facebook Live, we are on YouTube, and of course, we are on Fios as well. So the next part of the meeting, we get to hear from our elected officials. So first up, we're going to hear from Ms. Sabrina Campbell, who's representing Councilman Denowitz. So Sabrina, welcome. Sabrina going once. Sabrina Campbell going twice. Okay. All right, so Sabrina, I know that you are here. I'm looking at Sabrina. Can you not unmute? Okay.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of putting my son down. So the council member is going to get on to give his report. I do apologize.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll hear from him directly then. Okay, great. So just send me a note to let me know when he's on. Okay.
Will do.
Okay, great. So Cynthia, you were here from Councilman Riley's office. So welcome again.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Sorry, I'm just trying to get everything on. All right. Hi, everyone. So my name is Cynthia, and I am the Constituent Liaison at Councilmember Kevin Riley's office. Just a few standard things I go over. My email is cprisco, that is C as in cat, P as in Peter, R as in rabbit, I as in igloo, S as in Sam, C as in cat, O as in owl, at council.nyc.gov. Our phone number is 718-684-5509. Getting into the rest of the business, both of our offices are going to be open by appointment only. We can still take walk-ins where possible, but we're looking to have appointments ideally just to make sure that you can be appropriately serviced and that the appropriate staff member that you need is there, just because we have to go between two of the offices. On the agenda that we have for things upcoming, we are going to be having a Women's History event at the Northeast Bronx YMCA on April 2nd. Information will be coming out shortly on that, so please do follow us on social media. I know just from a couple of items discussed, I know we've been working on the issue that Moses brought up with the auto body shops, and that's something that's partially able to be enforced through DCWP. I know with the bike lane, I was able to address that. And then with Ms. Patterson's issue, that one we've asked DOT and Con Ed to really make sure that they both do things in order so that they don't tear up the street right after it gets repaved. I think that's all of the three things that I was looking to just follow up and address from Community Speaks. So if anyone has any questions for me, please do reach out and or put it in the chat.
Oh, okay, so Cynthia, you were kind of rapid there with your contact information. So if you do not mind putting it in the chat again.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah, that was kind of quick there, but nonetheless, we're glad that you just full of enthusiasm. First of all, tell the council member that he can call me back because I left him a message a while back about something. That's the first thing. The second thing is I need to let you guys know about, there's a presenter that you're going to see later on tonight from the Department of Youth and Community Development. So I'm going to be reaching out to him, Councilman and all the other electeds as well based on that. So I invite you to stay to that presentation, okay?
I try to stay as long as I can. I will need to charge my phone though, because I definitely need to put it on the charger right after this.
Okay, not a problem. You take care now, all right?
Thank you.
All right, great. Oh, Councilman Denowitz is here. So Councilman Denowitz, how are you doing? So
I'm doing
we just
all
heard
right.
from Ms. Campbell, and she said that you were coming in. So we go back to you. First of all, how are the kids doing?
Oh, they're doing great. They're doing great.
That is fantastic. It's about time to go out and play in the playgrounds, right?
Well, I don't know if this means I'm a good dad or a bad dad, but we take them out when it's pretty cold.
Okay.
Sometimes you just need to get out of that apartment. We gotta, it's not like a big house with a backyard. We got a little apartment, so we kind of need to take them out outside a lot.
Problem.
So even
well,
in freezing
I
cold
just
weather,
remember hanging out with you and having that discussion. So that is fantastic. But of course, our constituency, we would love to hear what news you have for us. So the floor is yours, sir.
Sure. So I'll start with some city council legislative stuff. I sit on 8 different committees. Last Monday, we had our education committee hearing, and it's our budget hearing. So we're dealing with budget now. I spoke about the literacy needs, social emotional needs, mental health needs of our children, things that I've been talking about for years, but especially since I've been on the council. And it is a very big problem, but I've made very clear that it is a problem that we need to solve, and that it is a problem I'm going to be working on. And included in that is, of course, for our children with special needs. Many of you know that I was a special education teacher before joining the council. So that was a lot of what I spoke about in the committee. And then I chaired my second higher education committee meeting. I chair the Committee on Higher Education, which deals with college and mostly CUNY. So that was a long hearing, but we spoke about fully funding CUNY, making sure the money's there to fill all full-time faculty positions. In fact, last stated, we passed a resolution which I co-sponsored called the New Deal for CUNY. And that was calling on the state to fully fund CUNY, to provide free tuition for students, to provide professors with the salary they deserve, and to provide real more social, emotional, mental health services. The state in the, I think it was the executive budget, proposed significant increases to CUNY funding, which is good. In that hearing, I spoke a lot about the different programs that will and won't be cut, diversity at the school, and real services that they're providing to the students, and even how they're working with the Department of Education, because college does not begin and end with college. College is about also what happens before college in high school, middle school, elementary school, and the sort of workforce development for after college. So really seeing CUNY as not its own silo, but really as a part of the puzzle, as a through line for the path of our citizens, our neighbors, our friends, residents. I sit on 8 different committees, including higher education, as I mentioned, which I chair. So what I have is a committee intake form. And Sabrina could put in the chat. Is there a chat here? I think there's a chat here. So if Sabrina wouldn't mind putting in the chat. And what the intake form is, we have different committee meetings every month. And what I encourage you all to do is if you see that I have an aging committee meeting this month, for example, to fill out the form and let me know what's going on with you. Maybe it's your mom or grandma, dad or granddad, what's going on at your older adult center. It's one of the easiest ways you can let me know what's going on, so I could bring those concerns right to City Hall, right to the commissioner. So it's ericdinowitz.nyc/council hearing. It's ericdinowitz.nyc/council hearing. And again, that just gives me information to help me craft some of my questions. It is budget season, as I mentioned. Last week, we were at PS16 to do budget outreach and engage our students about how we in the city spend their money. Before that, we were at PS19, I think it was a week or two prior, standing outside, handing out slips of paper to people to get their, how they want the tax dollars spent. In the budget, I have discretionary money, which I allocate to different organizations throughout the community, different schools and libraries. And I also, as I mentioned, chair higher education, which has to do with funding CUNY. And I also sit on the budget negotiating team, which means that I'm part of the small team in the council that's sort of helping craft the budget and respond to the mayor's executive budget. Sabrina, I see, just put both of those links in the chat. If you want to submit your comments to me about budget feedback, go to that link in the chat. Testing kits, COVID-19 is still real. It looms around us. We don't know what variant's coming next, but if you want to pick up a test from my office, just call. You can reserve a kit and then come pick it up. We will also, in the next week or 2 weeks, be doing a test distribution. We're getting another set of at-home tests from City Hall. So we'll be doing that. I have heard your concerns, the community's concerns of the traffic safety improvements on East 237th, Byron Avenue. So the DOT rejected the traffic light, and it would have taken months to complete either a 4-way stop sign or speed bump study. But I reached out to the DOT. I talked to the deputy commissioner myself to finish these studies as soon as possible, and I'm glad to report that I was told by the first deputy commissioner that a 4-way stop sign study was approved. I think they're actually installing the 4-way stop sign. And there is another part of the community, I forget the exact address now, maybe Sabrina knows, where they are installing a speed bump, which are 2 safety improvements the community's been asking about. 2 more items. Our office has been working with New York Common Pantry and Liberty Fellowship Deliverance Ministries to have a food distribution for adults over 60 years old once a month. We will share that information once we finalize the logistics, but if you're an older adult, you can get once a month food distribution. Look out for that information. But the 2 best ways to get information of what my office is doing in the community and at City Hall is to sign up for my newsletter and to follow me on social media. So my newsletter is ericdinowitz.nyc/newsletter, ericdinowitz.nyc/newsletter, and my Twitter handle is ericdinowitznyc. And there we post tons of information about what we're doing, budget, legislation, and of course, hyper local issues like what's going on in our schools and speed bumps and things of that nature.
Well, Councilman, I mean, that is quite a mouthful. And again, we appreciate you coming in. You're very attentive to us at Community Board 12. And I know me personally, I appreciate it. I know that I need to reach out to you. I've been busy with some, personal things with my business, but nonetheless, I know I need to reach out to you to discuss some other things as well. I see where members of the community are posting, sending your praises in the chat. So I invite you to take a look at that. I see,
Yeah,
Carla, you had your hand. Yeah, I see one of my board members had her hand up. I don't know if I missed it because she had a question or what's going on, Carla?
Carla, have her hand up.
Yeah, Carla. Okay, so let me sense no Carla. So, but anyway, thank you,
It was a
Councilman
mistake.
Dennis. As
I
I
was
said before,
trying to find some information.
Okay.
What'd you say?
It was a mistake, Dr. Burke. You could go ahead.
Oh, it's missed. Okay, okay. All right. So nonetheless, all right. So all right.
Great.
So it's just
and the one last thing, and thank you, Doctor. The one last thing I want to make sure everyone knows is that I know what to fight for because you tell me. So if there's a speed bump or a stop sign or a big piece of legislation, it doesn't matter. The only way that I know what is important to you is if you tell me. And so I highly encourage you to call my office, email my office, or in the case of budget or hearings, fill out those forms so that I know where you are and how I can help.
Okay, so there's a question for you in the chat by Professor Banks, and I see one of my board members, John Isaac, has his hand up. So, and I see Tolene has her hand up. So I'm going to take those two questions. Professor Banks, I'm going to read Professor Banks's question. So I'm going to take those three questions. I'm going to take John Isaac, Tolene Dickerson, and then because people love you, Councilman Denowitz. So the question is regarding funding for CUNY at the MLT program. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's a laboratory technology program that is being offered out of Bronx Community College. And so I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, Councilman.
I'm gonna say something. I'm not sure if it's related. There are two things that may relate to that. One, is that related to the tech incubators?
I don't know. And what I'm going to ask Professor Banks to do is to chat with you offline or to get your information. And she
That's
can follow
fine.
up.
That's
yeah,
fine.
because I think.
So we did talk about funding the tech incubators. I don't know if that's the same thing. If it's not, he should call my office. The second thing, there are research that I brought up at the hearing. There are these research institutes, CUNY, and it seems as though some of those people are being paid half as a professor and half as a researcher. And what's happening is they're getting the same amount of money, but because it's being split, they're not getting the health insurance that they are earning, that they deserve. So I don't know if that's a piece of the puzzle, but that is something that I brought up at the committee as well.
I don't think that's part of the MLT program, but in higher ed, like I said, you and I spoke the last time, and so that's why I said I need to call you offline and just have a discussion about
talk offline.
that as well as other things as well. So, but I'm going to take two questions from board members, Councilman Denowitz. So, John Isaac had his hand up first, and this is for board members to ask questions. So, if you are not a board member, I'm going to ask you to, like I said, I read Professor Banks's question. I'm going to ask you to put it in the chat. And Ms. Sabrina Campbell can probably capture that as well to get to the councilman. But Brother Isaac, you're up.
I just want to ask about the homeless shelters. I just noticed in the news that other communities were able to stop homeless shelters coming into their neighborhood. And I want to know, what do we have to do so that we could, when we don't want something in our neighborhood, that we can rebuff it and have these things not come into our neighborhood?
I saw the article. I saw the title of it. Sorry, go ahead, John.
No. Just, because it's unfair. Last time the commissioner for homeless services was here, she said she don't have to ask us permission. She said she is just here to inform us that we're getting a homeless shelter. And I'm like, that's not right. If other communities say no and we get it, we're not getting our fair share. So what it is do we have to do?
I didn't read the article. I saw the headline. I didn't get a chance to read the article yet, but it appears that the communities that make the most noise get the fewest shelters. And I think in the case, I assume you're speaking specifically of Wakefield, which has, I think, 5 or 6 shelters at this point, at least in my part of the district, that you are overburdened with shelters. And this has become, and they haven't installed one since I was elected. It doesn't mean that it's not like, oh, if I had been there, they wouldn't have come. I don't mean to say it like that. I just mean to say that I wasn't part of any of those discussions, but Wakefield is overburdened with shelters, and the notion that they tell you, they come to your board, they come to you and look you in the eye and tell you that shelters have no impact on the surrounding community is just a lie. It just isn't true. And there are conversations to have around it, but the conversations have to be rooted in honesty. And I am hoping that the new administration, that the Adams administration will be honest with communities and have real conversations with it, and see that the way out of homelessness is not more shelters. The way out of homelessness is jobs, is support, is housing, things that I hope everyone agrees that we need more housing, affordable housing, things to support people, not just shoving them, 6 people in a room. A lot of times it's mental health facilities and mental health support that people actually need. The shelters are a sign of people not getting what they need.
So, Councilman, we have a lot to talk about. And so I think one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to talk about a community board master plan. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. So even if you're not on, Ms. Campbell will be. And as I said, I need to reach out to you anyway, so I'll make certain that I do that. So you have my contact information. I have yours. So I'll just send you a personal note. And,
sure. And the same thing, by the way, the shelter conversation is a much longer one, and I'm happy to talk offline or with like a small group of board members, to go really deep into it, because it's only a matter of time before you are asked to be overburdened again.
Well, the one thing Deputy Commissioner Drinkwater knows that I fight her like the Dickens. I think that, well, I can go on to other stuff, but she knows that I will fight her, and I'm sure I'm probably not one of her favorite people. But nonetheless, I'm going to, because it's not about me. I think you have the same mantra that I do, Councilman. It's not about me. It's about we, and collectively we make this happen. But we'll talk, because there's things that I need to say, and I need to get to my other board member who has a question for you, and I need to get to the dozens of other elected officials in here. So, so Tolene?
Good evening, Council Member Dinowitz. Did I see you smile when he said Tarlene Dickerson had a question for you? Is that a smile you have when you know I have a question for you?
It's a good smile.
Good. I know. Quickly, I just want to let you know that I sent you the letters that we had sent out in December for class size. You mentioned class size at the Wakefield meeting, so I just wanted to tell you we had done some things, and you have my number, you have my address, you know everything. So you just call me and let me know.
Thank you.
And let me get that straight so we can. Wait, let me get that straight so they can understand. When you were campaigning, you were going door to door. That's how he has my address. Okay, just understand. You're okay. All right.
I knocked a lot of doors. I spent a lot of time in Wakefield, in case you weren't aware. And totally, we do have the letters.
Okay, awesome. Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilman Dinowitz, and I look forward to, like I said, reaching out to you. And I see where Sabrina put something in the chat, so we will, I'll be in touch with you as well as your office. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. And I know we didn't get to everyone, but please reach out to my office if there are other things we didn't get to.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, you got it. Take care. So next up are our state representatives. So is there anyone here from Speaker Carl Hasey's office? Is there anyone here from Speaker Carl Hasey's office? Okay, moving forward. Is there anyone here from Assemblyman Denowitz's office?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Danella Smith. I'm here from Assemblymember Jeffrey Denowitz's office.
Hi, Ms. Smith. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm so used to Ivan, but I'm getting used to you. So welcome.
The one announcement I do have is from the Department of Transportation. They announced that they are doing a Safe Streets initiative from 226 to 241st. They'll be extending bike lanes, and I believe the bumps near the subway station. They said the work will begin in the summer of this year.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Smith. And I know that the Assembly member is in Albany right now, so please give him our best, and we look forward to hearing from him when he gets back, okay?
Okay, I definitely will. Have a good night. Thank you.
Not a problem. All right, you got it. Take care. So next, is there anyone here from Senator Biagi's office?
Hi, good evening. This is Angela from Senator Biagi's office.
Hi, Ms. Connolly. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Dr. Burke?
Well, I'm fantastic. What greetings does Senator Biagi have from you today?
So she's also in Albany, so I did want to give a quick shout out to a bill of the senators that was passed and signed last week by Governor Hochul, which establishes a toll-free confidential hotline for complainants of workplace sexual harassment. So that is was a big accomplishment that our office and the senator are very proud of. Other than that, you know, things are ramping up in Albany with regard to the budget. So as always, I'm keeping a close eye on things. And when the budget is ultimately finalized, you know, we'll keep you all in mind, and we'll be back here to kind of communicate and translate what all of that money means for you all. Other than that, you know, I'm coming from the Senator's Constituent Services team. So, you know, we're providing our regular constituent services. We're also operating on an appointment basis. So if anyone needs any assistance and would like to see us in person, we just request that you make an appointment before just showing up. But you know, we're always available by phone and email as well. I put that information in the chat, but I'll just I'll read it out loud for anyone who can't see the chat. You can always call our phone number 718-822-2049. And I'll give you my personal email address. My personal work email address is my name, Angela, at senatorbiagi.com. But if you have any questions or are in need of any assistance, we're always here and happy to help. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask or private message me.
Well, thank you, Ms. Conley. And please give the senator our best. You know, she's always attentive to our needs as well as the Denowitzes. So we do appreciate that, as well as Councilman Raleigh, who's always sending somebody here. So again, I just appreciate you because, again, we can't do it by ourselves. You know, we need our elected officials. And so, you know, we want to thank you and all the other electeds that, you know, take the time to come and pay us a visit. I see George has his hand. No, yep, George has his hand up. So George has a question for you, Ms. Conley.
More of a statement. Thank you for all your help, especially with providing us with timely information regarding the remote meeting. But I made this complaint at Borough Board, and I'm going to make it because it actually lies with the state legislature. We were notified at 6 o'clock, March 15th or 16th. I forget the date that we got the email. You had sent it to me as well. For a meeting that we were supposed to be in person the next day. And as a matter of fact, you know, we were planning up until last week that we were going to be in person for tonight's meeting. I know that the governor didn't make that decision at the last second. So why they made the call at the last second, I don't understand. You know, people, I'm home and I'm grateful to be home. I was able to come home and cook food for my family and take care of the things that I needed to take care of. But, you know, other people were making plans, and I would have had to have done the same thing if we were meeting in person tonight. And the fact, you know, like, none of this stuff comes easy. And again, I'm not laying blame. I'm just saying I know that these decisions are not made at the last second. So why the notification at the last second? I don't understand. And again, we've been doing this for 2 years now. If that's not an indication that we know what we're doing, and I mean, some people do it better than others, then just make us go back to in person, because this sort of haphazard way of, we're going to do hybrid, but we're not going to provide resources for community boards to do that, or we're not going to do X and we're going to require that. Like, again, I don't like the poor planning behind it. And again, I'm not trying to lay this at your feet. I'm just asking you to convey to the elected official, the state legislature, that, this is unfair. If you know that remote meetings includes more people, we have 72 people at tonight's meeting right now, including board members and other people that might have not otherwise came to the full board to meet. Please, just convey that they can't. The final thing I'll say is that they extended it to April 15th, and I'd hate to see a repeat of what happened just last week, where they wait until April 15th to make the decision at 6 o'clock at night that, oh yeah, by the way, we're not going to meet again in person. We're going to extend it for another month. Literally, please let them vote on this. Tell them to vote on this. Either tell the governor, they have to make some sort of decision. The state legislature has to do something, because again, for me as a person that has to plan these things, I sat for the whole week with cameras and everything in the back of my office trying to figure out how we would provide a hybrid for my committee meetings, and we do this with the help of our production team. So our full board meetings is not a big deal. But for our committee meetings, which are smaller meetings, which, where the meat and potatoes are done for the community board, it really takes a long time. So again, I hope that you continue with the remote option, but you just have to make that permanent. This whole idea that you keep extending the moratorium and all that other stuff, I think it just wastes a lot of time. As a state legislature, please vote on it so that we know what we can do moving forward.
Absolutely, George. I understand, and I'm with you, because I want to be here. I want to be at these meetings. So if that requires me to drive in person somewhere, I'm in the same place as you all with figuring out life and how to make it all happen and be there in person for these meetings. So I hear your frustration on a personal note. And I know the senator is amplifying your concerns, especially for residents here in the city where we have these community boards that happen monthly, and it's sort of a foreign concept to a lot of people upstate, people in Albany who don't have these meetings that are so crucially important to the community. So please know I'm amplifying all of your concerns, and I will do my best to communicate as far in advance as I can. And whenever I get information, I will absolutely share it with you and Ursula.
Well, I'm not going to echo anything, because the district manager is quite right. And, this was something that, as he stated, was talked about at the borough board meeting, and we discussed it. Because again, we're the ones stuck, at least I am, and my board members are coming at me. And of course, they're nice about it, but still, as I tell them, I'm just a messenger. So anything that you could do, again, I'm not going to reiterate what he said, because he's spot on. That's perfect. So thank you, Ms. Conley. I appreciate it. Okay. All right, great. Is there anybody here from Senator Jamal Bailey's office? I'm going to ask one more time. Is there anybody here from Senator Jamal Bailey's office? All right, moving forward. Congressman Bowman, is Nicholas here? Nicholas Vasquez, is he here tonight? Nicholas? Okay, Nicholas must be busy, because normally he's here from Congressman Bowman's office. Nicholas? Okay, so moving forward, is there anybody here from the mayor's office?
Yes, hi, how are you? How's everyone?
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you all. My name is Alina Dow. I am actually the new Bronx Borough Director, and I represent Community Boards 7 through 12. I say good evening to everyone in the chat, because I'm actually I have to get off in a few minutes, but I was listening to all of the things that are going on. As far as the mayor's opinion on some of the issues, obviously, that he really has nothing to do with, he doesn't have any say as far as when it comes to the board meetings virtually. I think everyone has gone through enough virtual stuff. I don't even know how I would be able to get to everybody's meeting. So we'll see how that works out. I'll keep my fingers crossed as well. As far as what's going on with the mayor, he has been in the news quite a lot. So, but I will put in the chat there. We have a website. I'm not sure if everyone knows, but it's a whole news feed that just follows everything that the mayor is doing. So that you guys will be able to stay up to date, just in case you're not. I'm going to put my information in the chat. If there's any topics or anything that you would like to discuss with me, please feel free. I'm going to make my rounds. I believe, George, I messaged you to see when we can meet. I want to make sure that I get to meet everyone. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. If not, everyone have a good evening and nice to meet you all.
Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Dow. Did you say that? Is that Dow, D-O-W, with the E being
Yes, Dow,
silent?
D-O-W-E, but it's Dow.
Yeah, there's Dow. Okay, great. So nice to meet you. Like I said, feel free to reach out to me as well. And, you know, I'd be more than happy to converse with you. And please give Mayor Adams our best, okay?
I definitely will. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Not a problem. All right, great. Thank you. So next up is Marilex here from DA Clark's office.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
So my name is
Yes,
Marilex.
yes. How are you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm doing
I do
fantastic.
have a couple of announcements.
Okay.
So the first one is we're having our felony trial training program. So we're looking for mock jurors that is interested in participating in this program that each assistant district attorney from our office receive training throughout their whole career. And for this specific training is for new ADAs that will be given felony cases. So they practice, it's pretty much like you're attending a trial, but it's just a mock trial and we need jurors. So if you're interested, my information is in the chat box. I'll put it again. And that is for, that's for this Tuesday, March 29th, between the hours of 9:30 and 4:30. So if you're available, it's not in person, it's gonna be virtual. If you're available, excellent. Just reach out to me and I'll provide you with more information about that. Second is our DA right now in celebration for Women's History Month. We are having a prom dress drive and we are collecting any dress, lightly worn, no rips, no tears, any bags, shoes are welcome, accessories. These evening wears will be given to young ladies. Right now we have 2 schools that we're working with. We're working with an organization called Bronx Fashion Week, and they have 2 high schools that they're planning to give the dresses to. If we, depending on how many dresses we do collect, we'll expand to other schools as well. So we'll be accepting in our office up until April 15th, at our office between the hours of 8 to 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. If you want more information about that, also I'll send it out. I believe I send it to not everyone on the board, but the few that I do have the email information. So if you have any evening wear or you have a dress you haven't worn in a long time, or you've been to a wedding or Sweet 16 or whatever you have, if you're willing to donate it, we have girls that are in need of that. Also on April 30th, Saturday, we'll be having our 5th annual Bronx Child Safety Fair. That fair is going to be at the PS5 Port Morris School. So this year we're it's going to be within the 40th precinct district. Also, we have our Saturday Night Lights program. That's every Saturday is a free program. I'm not sure if everyone knows about it, but it's a free program that's, let me see, the 2 areas that, so within the 47th precinct, we have the Child Development Center of Washulo, the Montefiore Community Center, and we also have the Edenwall Cornerstone Montefiore Community Center that we have. They have different free programs for young people. And I believe the hours are from 4 all the way up to 11 p.m. So, you know, idle time is the devil's playground. We need to give our kids, our young people, more activities and things to do with their time, and especially for those families that can't afford any memberships or anything of that nature. So we do have those programs within the 47th precinct. If you want to branch out to other districts, I have that information as well. We have, I believe it's 25 sites within the Bronx of free locations that they provide basketball, soccer, dancing, different types of clubs. Each location has different activities. And also, we have our concept program. It's an educational program. It teaches young kids life skills. It's free workshops that we provide to our young people. We're in different schools. We have two council members that are donating, that have donated to help our program expand. It's a life skill program that we target young kids all the way up from 3rd grade up until high school. And we also have the adult component, the parent component. So what we talk about internet safety, we talk about peer pressure, we talk about bullying, cyberbullying, gang awareness, substance use. These are all topics where we related to young people, where if they need to know more, so they can find out more information, that way they don't run into the law. And another thing is that our DA is looking to gather young people all throughout the Bronx to potentially have a youth summit where young people can have a voice. So if you know anyone, again, send them my way. I'm gonna put my information in the chat. I know it was a lot, but thank you.
Mayor Lex, first of all, thank you very, very much. And let me say this before I continue, Mayor Lex. Look, so people, I'm going to have to lock everybody down because I've asked you to keep yourselves muted. There are those of you that are unmuting yourselves, and it's very rude to our speakers. If you cannot do that, then I will have to lock, and I do not want to do that. So I'm going to ask you to be courteous, and whoever that was in the last number 69, to be courteous and allow our
that
speakers
happens to me. That happens to me, Dr. Burke. And I'm driving.
Mr. Stricker, there's a lot of background noise, and we can't have that. All
well,
right.
not for me, because I'm driving on the highway.
Mr. Stricker, there's a background noise, and we can't have that. So what I'm going to ask you to do, when it's your turn, I will unmute you. Okay.
Okay,
right.
that's fine.
So anyway, Mayor Lex, what were you saying?
The last part, so our DA is looking for young people all throughout the Bronx to host a youth summit to pretty much give the young people a voice.
Okay. So you put your information in the chat, right, Mayor Lex? Because I know you always do.
Yes, I'm going to put it again right now.
Okay. Now I'm just curious. So you're looking for stuff from young girls. You don't need any tuxes from young men? I mean, from...
So we're gonna do a suit drive for men. I mean, for the young fellas for the prom as well. But since we're in the month of Women's Month, we're gonna celebrate women first, and then we're gonna do the men's afterwards.
I get it. Okay. All right. So again, thank you so much, and for all of the work that you do on behalf of DA Darcel Clark. So thank you. So if anybody has any used prom dresses, Mayor Lex is putting her information in the chat. Please make certain that you can donate them, okay? All right, so I saw someone here from Comptroller Brad Lander's office. I do not know your name, but if you're still here,
yeah, I'm
please
here.
Mute yourself.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. I'm
Hello.
Grim Oh, hey. Yeah, so my name is Grim Mayhew. I am actually the new Bronx Borough Director for the Comptroller's office. So that's the first thing I want to introduce myself. I put my contact information in chat for everyone. I do have one update, is that the Comptroller will be hosting a community conversation entitled A Feminist Recovery in honor of Women's History Month. And this conversation will be able to, they'll be discussing the impacts of the pandemic on women in New York City and discuss different solutions to those impacts. So it's going to be on March 30th at 6:30. If you're interested, I'm going to put a link in there for you can sign up for that. So, and again, thank you again for having me. and look forward to working with everyone.
Well, first of all, welcome, Mr. Mayhew. We appreciate you and the work that you do on behalf of the comptroller. I do have one question that board members and community members may have. So as you know, on September the 3rd, there was a massive flood that took place. Our homes were flooded due to the storm that we had. And I'm sure a lot of us filed claims, but yet and still now it's March 24th and we have not heard a peep from the comptroller. Now, I know that we went from Scott Stringer to your boss, Brad Landers, but what's the status of that?
So I know they're still processing. If there are individual people who have filed claims, you can send them over to me, and then we can work on that on an individual basis.
Okay. So did everyone hear that? So make certain that you put your information in the chat, because as I said before, I know that, I was one of the ones, and I know several board members, as well as community residents, were affected by that. So Mr. Mayor, you said, make certain that you contact him, all right? So he's gonna put his information in the chat. So if you were affected by that, then please make certain that you reach out to him, okay? All right, so do we have any more elected officials outside of the borough president? Okay, so I would like to thank all of our elected officials and their representatives who came to address us. That shows your dedication to the community. And we will note that, obviously this is election season, and we definitely note your dedication to the community and to your constituents. So again, we can't do it without you. So again, thank you for taking the time to attend this particular meeting, and we look forward to working with you all. So to that end, we move into the next part of our agenda, in which we hear from Madam Borough President herself, Vanessa L. Gibson. And today, as all, we will hear from her representative, Ms. Alexis Ruiz. So Alexis, welcome. How are you doing?
Hi, Dr. Burke. I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. And yourself?
Good. I'm good. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well.
That is
Hello,
fantastic.
Community
Likewise.
Board 12. I hope that you're all doing well and staying safe. The Borough President's newsletter has been emailed to everyone. If you have not received it, please let me know so that I can forward that to you. We had a great week as we traveled across the borough, spending time with many of our Bronxites. On Thursday, we held our Irish Heritage Month event and honored some incredible leaders and trailblazers making a difference in our city. Our office joined colleagues and community leaders to call for equal pay. We lit up the Bronx Borough Hall to remember our friends and neighbors that we lost due to COVID-19. We met with business leaders in the borough, cut the ribbon on a new educational program at Truman High School, and so much more. The borough president also wants you guys to be reminded that tax season is here. If you or someone you know needs assistance, New York City has a number of free resources available to you and your family. And you can also visit BronxWorks because they have a lot of information. So just a few updates. Something important that I wanted to mention is that board members who are up for reappointment, we're asking you to continue to serve until you receive a letter from the borough president's office stating otherwise. For everyone who has applied to become a community board member, please look out for a phone call from our office as we are currently conducting phone interviews. Also, the inauguration of Vanessa Gibson as the 14th Bronx Borough President, excuse me, will be held on Sunday, March 27th at Lehman College. If you should wish to attend, you could please call 646-470-5378. I'm just going to repeat that for all the callers. It's 646-470-5378. Or you can click the link that I'm going to place in the chat so that you can RSVP for the event. I know that some have been having issues with the link, but if you type out the link on your web browser, you should be perfectly fine. And if anyone needs any assistance with that, I can help. And if anyone has any questions for me, please let me know in the chat now or via email, and I'm going to place my information in the chat. Thank you so much for the time.
Well, Alexis, not a problem. Thank you. And please give Madam Borough President our best. And I'm sure that we look forward to seeing her for those of us that are going on Sunday. And like I said, the Borough President is very accessible. So again, we want to thank her for that. And please give her our best wishes.
Of course. Thank you.
You're welcome. So next on the agenda is the community board chairperson's report, and all of you that are board members have a copy of it, so I'm not going to go over it. I'm not going to read it. Please take a minute and read it. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. So I'm going to turn it over to the district manager for his report.
Same thing here. Everybody has my report, or they should have it. If anybody has questions, you don't have to ask me tonight. You can always email me or call me. I'll be in the office. That's pretty much it.
Well, thank you, George. And one of the things that, is in his report is something that I need to, which is what I'm trying to do tonight, make sure that we keep moving and, keep it moving, to make these things go faster. And I did take note of that. So again, I invite you to, read the reports if you haven't done so already. So next, we're going to go to the approval of the board minutes, and help me understand this. Now, I know we have the minutes for January. So, Carla, do we have the minutes for February? We can't hear you, Carla. Carla. Oh.
Yeah, she's calling up.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
okay.
I should be unmuted now. No, I'm sorry. The February minutes are still in process.
Okay, so we've got
We'll
got
get them.
January minutes.
I'm sorry?
I said we've got the January minutes because I saw those.
Yes.
Okay.
So February and March will be ready for the April meeting.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and we still need to approve the January minutes. So, Ms. Benitez, you call the roll.
Yeah. Judith Benitez, aye. Egeria Bennett.
Well, wait a minute, Ms. Benitez. Before we do that, we need a motion to approve the board minutes.
Moving too quickly. Okay. Can we get that motion?
Anthony Reed has his hand up, Dr. Burke.
Yes, I'm sorry, Brother Reed. What you got?
I make the motion.
You make a motion? Okay, I'm sorry, Anthony. So Anthony Reed makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second by John Isaac.
John Isaac seconded. So the motion's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any unreadiness before Ms. Benitez calls the roll? Ms. Benitez, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Judith Benitez, aye. Egeria Bennett, excused. Sidney Blair. Sidney Blair. Denise Bond.
Aye.
Ivan Borez. Ivan Flores. Paula Basati.
Aye.
Michelle Brumfield.
Aye.
Marlene Brown.
Aye.
Victor Brown.
Aye.
Deacon Brown.
Aye.
Norbert Bryan. Norbert Bryan. Sadie Campbell.
Aye.
Joan Clark.
Aye.
Beatrice Coronel.
Aye.
Tolene Dickerson.
Aye.
Kevin Eichelberger. Kevin Eichelberger. I did see him, but is he still there?
You say you saw him? I don't know. I didn't see
I
him.
saw him earlier, but I don't. Okay, he's not here now.
No, I mean, well, he is here. I don't know. I see him, he's
well, he's
here.
not present for this call. Alfredo Figueroa.
Aye.
Hannah Gapali. Barbara Gibson.
Aye.
Johnny Goff. Johnny Goff, Robert Hall, Hall. Aye. Robert Hall?
Yes, aye.
Okay. Hey, Lisa Hayes,
Abstain.
John Isaac,
Aye.
Theodore James,
Aye.
Keisha Largo,
Aye.
Afalas, Carl Enzano,
Aye.
Jerron Manzet, Lucille Martin is excused, Shaniqua Moore,
Aye.
Clinton Mike,
Aye.
Carmen Ortiz, Carmen,
Yes, aye.
thank you. Anthony Reed,
Aye.
Harry Singh,
Aye.
Carl Stricker, okay, I'm going to assume he's going to say aye. You got him muted, right?
No, ma'am. I mean, he can unmute himself.
Well, okay. Luke said,
But yes, you can assume he can say aye.
okay. Luke Zalados,
Aye.
Deborah Tirado,
Aye.
Esther Yemmer,
Aye.
the ayes have it.
Miss
Madam
Benitez, my
Secretary.
apologies. It's Kevin Eichelberger. Aye for me.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
All right, thank you, Madam Secretary.
You're welcome.
All right, so next, financial report, Ms. Tolene Dickerson.
Okay, changing hats. Good evening again, and I just want to say that right now we are at $2,009. And please remember that you can either drop your check or money order off at the office, or you can send it to me by Zelle. You have my phone number, it's in the chat. Or if you need to reach me, you have all my information. Please contact me and let me know. For all those people who have sent in their Sunshine Fund money, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Treasurer. I just need to send a special shout out to Mr. Alfredo Figueroa and Mrs. Keisha Lago Martin for actually exceeding the challenge. So I just want to send a special shout out to those two board members. Okay. All right. So next we are moving right along. So we're going to have a special presentation from the New York City Department of Youth and Community Development, and I'm proud to say that one of our own is actually going to give the presentation with one of her colleagues. So I would like to turn the floor over to Miss Lisa Hayes, and I do know that one of her colleagues is here. I want to say I forget her name right now, and I'm scrolling down to try to find it, but I will let Lisa do the honor. So Ms. Hayes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Burke. Good evening, community board members, and good evening, fellow community. Can you hear me? Beautiful. Okay, so tonight we have the pleasure of not just being with one of my awesome directors, but in fact two. And so we have the Senior Director, Ms. Anita Antonetti of Strategic Outreach, as well as my director, Candace Julian. And she is also our Director of Outreach. And so yes, tonight I'm going to be presenting not just one program from DYCD, but two. And so I'm excited. I know that you saw SYEP on the agenda, but I do want to also enlighten you that we have some more really awesome opportunities, which is the NAB board. And so I'm going to start to share my screen, and I hope that you enjoy it. And you know me, so if you got questions, tap in. Let's see. Share screen, application. Okay, window. Share. All right, let's get the slideshow started. Okay, so can you all hear me? Can one person unmute for me? Dr. Bird, can you see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Beautiful. Okay, so this is the Department of Youth and Community Development, and I am Lisa T. Hayes. As you know, I do sit on the community board, but today I'm here as the Neighborhood Advisory Board liaison, and so I'm looking forward to presenting. So the why, the mission behind DYCD is for us to invest in a network of community-based organizations and programs to alleviate the effects of poverty and to provide opportunities for New Yorkers and communities to flourish. So hopefully you've been feeling some of that, and you will even experience more of that after we complete this presentation. And so what is the vision for DYCD? It is to strive to improve the quality of life of New Yorkers by collaborating, again, with local organizations and investing in the talents and assets of our communities to help them develop, grow, and thrive. Much like the vision and mission of everybody here, right? So what is a NAB? So a NAB is the Neighborhood Advisory Board. The Neighborhood Advisory Board, much like a community board, but is specific to certain things, and I will get more into that, is a group of community members who identify community priorities and recommend programs in New York City in areas in New York City called the Neighborhood Development Area. And so I will show you also that map. So in short, the Neighborhood Advisory Board is a board that makes sure that we recommend good programs and make sure that you know the priorities in your community. So where did it all start? So in the beginning, in 1964, you might remember President Johnson, or you might have read about him like me, submits a plan for the war on poverty, right? And then Congress passes the Economic Opportunity Act that requires maximum feasible participation of community residents, and creation of the Community Action Program. And so maximum feasible participation is this idea that we want everybody in the community to have a say in the things, in the services that they're receiving, as well as the resources, right? And so that's where that idea started. And then in 1981, the Community Service Block Grant Program was granted an obvious, beautifully large budget for the Budget Reconciliation Act, right? And so you'll see a little bit more about that money a little later on. And then in 1987, the overall operating document, the rules for governing the conduct of CSBG program, the Community Service Block Grant, for New York City was created, right? Because you need rules when you start talking about big money. And then lastly, the NAB bylaws, along with the NABs, were created in 1996 to make sure that we had maximum feasible participation. So a little bit more about the Neighborhood Advisory Board. So some of these beautiful people that you see here are my colleagues, and then others are NAB members, community residents such as yourself. And so hopefully maybe we'll see a picture with one of you up there. I'm not in there, but I do make a cameo, so no worries. So what are NABs? NABs are a part of a national initiative called Community Action. So that's something to think about. To be a part of a NAB is to be a part not only of a city action agency, but a national one. DYCD, this agency, is designated as the Community Action Agency for New York City. As such, it is responsible for donating all the funds, right, under the Federal Community Service Block Grant. And then why does this matter, Lisa? Well, it matters because NAB, again, were established to make sure that the people in the neighborhood could have a right in their decisions on programming and services to help alleviate poverty. And so we often know that we have really big ideas that people want to come in and we want to help ourselves and people want to help us, but sometimes they're not always clear about what it is the needs. And so the community doesn't always get what they need, and this is a way to make sure that it does. Okay, so the funding. So you'll see here at the top, and so this was in 2019 for clarity. So the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, who administer the larger community service block grant in the federal level, gave about $700 million and some change, right? And then that was later split to the Department of State, the Division of Community Services, which has 56 community action agencies and serving 62 counties in New York State. And so when it got there, they gave them 61 million. But New York City is so awesome, so special. And in all honesty, we have such a great need, right? The Department of Youth and Community Development was then given $32 million in 2019 and some change to distribute not only to the Neighborhood Advisory Board areas, but also to New York City at large for the needed areas program. So you're here, right? That's you right here. Oh. So next, how is the NAB structured, right? The Neighborhood Advisory Board is structured in a couple different ways. So first, you should know that New York City is currently divided into 41 neighborhood development areas, each with a NAB to represent the community. So they're not the same as community boards, and the numbers are not the same, but they do sometimes mirror each other. Each NAB consists of up to 12 people representing low-income area residents of the NDA. And so you happen to fall. I live in this area as well, so we happen to fall together to be able to have a NAB, which is awesome in one sense. So 6 members are nominated by DYCD, and 6 are nominated by elected public officials representing the NDA. And so at the top here, you'll see this is our unit. And then down here, you'll see there's 41 boards. So Brooklyn has 16.
Okay, Lisa, I hate to interrupt you, but
yeah,
your slides aren't moving.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was just me, but your slides aren't moving. Now they are.
Uh-oh. Where are you now?
Well, now it says CSBG funding flow chart, but you've been stuck on the slide after that. Actually, not that one, but 2 slides after that, where it seems like NAB something where it's a circular, like a planetary system.
Oh, wow.
So now you've been
You
stuck on
guys are
that for
ahead
the
of me
past couple
then.
of minutes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's where you started.
No, it didn't. I'm not sure why is it doing that. So I'm going to stop and refresh and see if we can get this started again. And I will speed it right through. How I'm doing on time. I know I have 10 minutes.
You have about maybe 5 minutes left.
Perfect. That's all I need.
Mrs., can you do full screen? It's a bit small.
Yeah, I've been, it's full on my end, so it's very odd. But what I can say is that I will send this presentation out after, so I hope you get it. I know you will get it if you don't get to see it, excuse me, because we know Ursula gets the stuff out. So just give me a second. I'm not really sure why it's
Okay,
not.
so Professor Banks said it started at slide 8. So thanks, Professor Banks. I didn't look at the slide number. Normally I do. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure why it's not showing, but what I will say, honestly, if it's okay, I'll just present via my face. How about that? And I will send you all the slides because unless Candace, are you able to share? Beautiful. Awesome. Is it moving? It is moving. Okay, Candace. Beautiful. Okay. So I know you all heard me say that, and you heard me go through the timeline. So there's the timeline that I was talking about. And then next is that beautiful picture that I hope some of you will be in. I'm looking at Mr. Figueroa, who is a awesome member of our NAB, right? And so that is all the things that I was saying. There's the big money that I was talking about, right? Okay, next, I'm gonna move this right along. Okay, so this is what I was also talking about. What is important here that I would like to just let you all know is that currently, which you should be really proud of, all of the 6 slots as far as DYCD, meaning that community members, are filled and they are doing the hard work. We don't meet a lot, but when we do a lot of work, and they have been a part and fiercely doing the job. What I will say is currently, the EPO slots are very, very empty. right? And so the way that works is that the elected public official can nominate you, and then we would accept you happily. And so the people who have spots on the DYCD board are Assembly Member Carl E. Hasty, Borough President Vanessa L. Gibson, Congress Member, let's see, and Council Member Kevin Riley. Council Member Kevin Riley has 2 seats, and New York State Senator Jamal Bailey has 1 as well. So we need them to fill the seats. I will be sending a nice little notice to you all, but we wanted you to know that. Okay, next, Candace, please. Okay, this is the slide you've been seeing, so perfect. The NAB members, right? What do you do? What's this all about? So 1, you administer a community needs assessment. I know this board is serious about community needs assessment, and so it's something that you may be interested in tapping into as well, right? So the community needs assessment, and there's another slide about that, so I'm not going to elaborate. I'm gonna go quick. The next one is they allocate funds for the needs in their community. So after the community needs assessment is took and we understand what the priorities are, the NAB members come together to allocate the funds to say what they believe are the top priorities. Then thereafter, now this is over a span of 3 years. I'm going to be quite transparent. But then after, the DYCD puts out an RFP, right, a request for proposals, and community members, which much like participatory budgeting in other offices, we were probably like the grandmother and grandfather, as Anita would say, to participatory budgeting. And the community members read the proposals, approve them, and then if they like them, and everybody, they get the money, right? They get a ton of funding for the next 3 years. And then after, you all, myself, other fellow community members are able to attend those programs. And so NABs are, in a sense, a plug, a way to connect. And it's also a way to have a voice when, unfortunately, we know that the community board can only have but so many slots, right? As my director Candace says, and which is a good point. And so the NAB is another way for you to have a voice. Okay, next, please, Candace.
2 minutes, Lisa.
I'm going fast. I got you. I'm about to sound like I'm selling something right now. Okay, so what is the CNA? The CNA is a community needs assessment in which stakeholders, all right, y'all can read this. I'm going to tell you what it is. It is a citywide survey, right, in which we go around and see what it is that the city needs the most. And we ask community members, and it is important because it's not like, it's very direct, and we want to know the truth, and we are able to take these and utilize the information not only for the RFP possibly, but also for other agencies to know what New York City needs, right? Okay, next, Candace. Oh, they stuck us.
Yes, I
Okay.
got stuck. Apologies.
Don't
Apologies.
worry. Don't worry about it. We're gonna send this out. I know that I'm gonna get to the hot stuff, right? I did want you to see the community needs assessment and what we've been doing, but don't worry, it's gonna pass. We'll send it out and everybody will get it. As far as
why don't you take some time and do the community needs assessment and then get into the other stuff?
Okay, perfect.
Because I think this correlates with what Beatrice's committee is doing.
Yes, absolutely. I know I brung it up before, and it wasn't presented in the really big impact that it has. So if you look all the way at the bottom of the screen, we can see Williamsbridge and Baychester, right? And so what were the needs, or where did we all believe there were service gaps in after school and basic needs, employment and career advancement, family support? That's not up there. Support for special population. I know it's not up there, but we know, right, guys, that we need that stuff as well. And so that is some of the things in which we were able to find out Community Board 12 in this area, Williamsbridge and Baychester needs. And so we will be happy to share that as well. And we will be happy to partner to do the next one. Okay, next, please. Okay, where does this information go? Again, the information is funneled back into the NDAs, back into our neighborhoods, and it's also given to other citywide agencies. So they know, like we know, what are the needs. So even when we can't fund what we need to fund, the other agencies, as well as our very own agency, is able to back us where the NDAs may not be able to. Okay, next. NDA funding, excuse me. Okay, that's my little cameo. So I just wanted you to see what we were doing in the pandemic. So even when we not like y'all don't see us, we're working. We were really able to push out that PPE, make the phone calls, make sure our people were well and doing good. So okay, next. I don't even mean that. Okay, benefits. How does that, why, what? Significantly contribute to your community board. Your community gives you a voice. You make connections and you develop networks. You're first to know about a lot of stuff, right? Like that when it all hit the fan, we were able to tell people where to get tested first. Now, but okay. Develop community advocate skills. Really important for the young people because you can be 16 and join. It's a resume builder, right? And people look highly on it because there's such a massive amount of money in which you're hoping to allocate. And then when we're back outside, depending on how things go, you do receive an optional travel and food voucher. Ms. Alfredo is always so generous in giving it back, right? But some people don't, right? And it's okay because if you get here, you use it, you need it. Beautiful. So that is some of the benefits, excuse me. So next, Candace, please. Boom. So what do we need from you now? Tell people about the NAB. As we don't really have any spots for DYCD, talk to your elected officials that I named if you're interested and have them appoint you. When the community needs assessment comes out, make sure you fill it out and make sure you tell others to fill it out so that there can be no excuse about us and no other agency really not knowing what the community needs. And then NABs can help you to advocate on the behalf of your community and for resources and tell you about that. So that's my information. Okay, next. Can I have 2 more minutes for SYEP? I swear I'm going to be super fast.
Yeah, that's
okay.
fine.
Next, please.
Apologies, Lisa. I believe that's the end. Oh, no, here we are.
Okay, boom. Perfect. So this is SYP. This is not our unit, but I would be remiss if I came and I didn't share, right? And so the application is due the 22nd. Who can apply? The youth in the 5 boroughs. You have to be legally allowed to work in the United States. And there's some service options that have additional eligibility requirements, right? So depending if the job is real different, you might need some extra stuff. So there, we all know it's been a really big deal, 100,000 seats, right? 90 will come from SYEP, and then 10,000 will come from other agencies. Really big deal. I started in New York City Law Department as a youth person, right? And so it's a great opportunity to do it. And so how are people, I know you want to know how they get chosen. How do you get chosen? Okay, how? The director, they can be directly recruited, or for the most part, it's through a lottery, right? And so DYCD conducts this massive lottery. It doesn't just happen once, it happens more than once to make sure we're not missing anybody. So that's the first part. It's a really huge idea. That's the number. We'll send this information out, but always go to nyc.gov/SYEP and you can find out. Now, yep, one more, Candace. Thank you so much. The next one is for our non-for-profits, right? I heard a lot of new non-for-profits out there, a lot of community agencies. So we want more jobs for our youth. You get to give it to them. If you are a non-for-profit, if you are a big agency or a small hospital, whatever you are, if you are a business, then you possibly could be able to give students and youth a place to work. And so this is also a big part of the SYEP program this year. So please, as a new nonprofit, try. It's a great way for them to learn skills as well as for your agency to get help. Or your business to get help, non-for-profit. So that is it. That is all. My throat is dry. I appreciate y'all. And I thank you. And I pray that this information gets into the right hands and you all come and even join. And it's public, and the meetings are public as well. Thank you, guys.
So thank you so much, Ms. Hayes, and to Ms. Julian and to all of your colleagues. And so I see I'm going to take one question. And I see Mr. Hall has his hand up.
Dr.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see some. Your director has a hand up. I'm sorry.
Yes.
My senior director.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Anita Antonetti.
I just wanted to add to what Lisa said. It's not only for nonprofits can hire the SYP. Profits, businesses can also hire. And the good SYP is that it's no cost to the businesses or the nonprofits. The city pays the youth. So anybody can apply to be a worksite, any business.
And I think this is fantastic. And again, so I saw this at the borough board meeting last week, George and I did. And that's why I wanted you guys to come in, because the deadline to apply, especially for the SYEP program, is when?
Yes, April 22nd.
April 22nd. So for those of you that have youth that are out here that are looking for summer jobs, this is the opportunity. So today is March 24th. In essence, you have 29 days to get this in. So
but you should get the word out to all youth.
Yes.
14 to 24, because the demand is what caused the mayor to add additional slots. We had 150,000 applications last year, and only 75 could be filled. So if the demand is there, we may be able to get additional funding, maybe.
Well, okay, so that is fantastic. And so, like I said, I'm going to take one question because we got a lot of stuff that we have to get to still. So, Mr. Hall, you had your hand up.
Yes. Take a deep breath, Lisa Hayes. As a former chair for the Neighborhood Advisory Board, I got two questions for you. Number one,
Mr. Hall, it's kind of hard to hear you. Can you speak up, please, sir?
as a former NAB chair, I have two questions for Lisa Hayes. Number one, do you still have that? You have a very complex way of finding out the needs of each community.
Mr. Hall, okay, Mr. Hall. Is it me or is it? Am I the only one having a hard time hearing him? So it's everybody.
No one.
Well, it's you.
We cannot hear him.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I know you was a former president.
Okay, now listen.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, do you still have that complex formula in finding out the needs of the community? That's number one. And number two, I would like for you to state the three most prevalent needs of Community Board 12.
Yes, sir. So I will take the second question. I don't believe because I'm not even going to touch the first about if it's still complex. I don't believe it is, but I will let my senior director speak to that. I can give you the top three needs. And this is from 2019, right? So we're going to administer another one in 2022. But the top three needs were first, basic needs, second, after school, and then third, employment and career advancement.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And say hello to Susan Patterson for me.
I sure will. Anita, is it
Thank you,
complex?
Mr. Hall. Is it complex? No, we just count up how many votes for whichever service people want, and the ones with the highest number move to the top. So those were the first top three, but those weren't the only ones. So we keep track of all of the needs of the community. And as Lisa was saying, we do share this information with other city agencies and sometimes with the state and the federal government as well. So it's possible the more surveys we can collect, the more precise the needs of the top needs of the community are.
Okay, thank you. Make sure that you keep up with the presidents of those housing developments in your area.
Gotcha.
Mr. Hall, it's kind of hard to hear you, but let me say this. Since Tolene, you had your hand up, since you're the chair of the youth committee, you're the last question. Let me just say this. What I invite you ladies to do is to contact Miss Beatrice Cornell, because pretty much what you're saying in 2019, the community needs is exactly what her committee just came up with in the most recent survey. It's the exact same thing. So I invite you to reach out to Ms. Beatrice Cornell and just go from there. So Lean, you got the last question, and then because we have a lot of stuff to get to on committees.
It's
So
not a question, it's just a statement. Thank you.
okay.
Thank you, Lisa. Just to say I've worked with SYEP over the past 30 years with the Police Athletic League, and I appreciate you. And just to let you know, I extended that application to the parent liaisons through the United Federation of Teachers and also to the parent coordinators throughout the teachers throughout the Bronx. Okay, so I got y'all. And I got our kids.
And let me say this too, because I did get the information last night. I'm just getting getting to my emails today. I had something to do, but I will get this out to the board members as well. What you sent me, Ms. Julianne, I will get that out to board members. And like I said, I will get that out to our elected officials. And that's why I asked the representatives to stay on, because pretty much based on what I saw, their spots were the only ones that were unfilled. And so, I said before, so the electeds that were here, they could see that hopefully they can fill their spots, and the other ones, then hopefully we can reach out to them so that we can get some appointees. So to that end, I need to move forward. So ladies, thank you so much for your presentation. Community members, board members, if you have anybody that needs to apply for the Summer Youth Employment Program, applications are due April the 22nd. If anybody else has any questions, I'm going to invite you to put it in the chat, and I'm going to ask the ladies to monitor the chat for any other questions, okay? All right, so moving on to committee reports and recommendations. So first up is, it should be housing, but it's under land use. So I said land use housing because it's technically a housing issue, but one under land use. So Mr. Stricker, you're up.
Team just told me this is probably the best case scenario.
Mr. Stricker? Mrs. Stricker.
I'm sorry, Dr. Burke, but you said you were going to unmute me, and you didn't.
Okay, okay, Mr. Stricker. So it's up to you. Let's roll.
Okay, the Land Use Committee had a meeting again on 3300 Palmer Avenue for their tax abatement. Right now they have a Title 421A, which expires, I believe, the year 2025. And then they're looking for an Article 11, which replaces 421A. The general consensus of the committee was they're not 100% in favor of this, but we asked them to commit to putting a sidewalk in along Bowler Avenue to make it safer for people to walk. And they said they would get back to the board the Friday after we had the meeting. As of Tuesday, when I spoke to George, they has not sent that. So the actual motion was, and approved, was that we would approve their additional tax abatement down the road if they put a sidewalk in on Bowler Avenue. We have not got back to him. They have not got back to us. So I can't see approving it, even though we voted to approve it, because of their negligence in getting back to us about the sidewalk. So I'm going to throw that out to the board. But right now the motion is to approve it with the caveat that they must put a sidewalk in on Bowler Avenue for the pedestrians. So that's where it stands right now. So the motion was made by the committee, and now I'm throwing it out to the board for a vote.
Okay, let me just give some background information on this before we take the vote. So I see Mr. Weinstein is here from HPD. So what this was is, so what happened is these owners are new owners of this particular building or this particular complex, and they came to Councilman Riley because ultimately he's the one who is going to decide yes or no, he and City Council. What they did was they asked the owners of this building to come to the community board to see what our opinion was. And so we're not going to relitigate what happened in the land use housing committee meetings. If you want to know, and here's just something that came out of last month's meeting that I sat in on, right? Where people talked about they had to read their reports. No, you don't. All you have to do, the one thing that the district manager has done, and I applaud him for this, is making everything available on YouTube, right? So you don't have to read a doctoral dissertation. All you have to do is go back and look at what was discussed in December, what was discussed in January, and what was discussed again this month. So to that end, we're definitely not going to spend a lot of time on it. Hopefully you had the opportunity, and plus not only that, Attorney Singh sent out a readout of the minutes to what took place at all three meetings, and he's very thorough in his notes. So there's more than enough information out there. So what this is a recommendation to the councilman. As I said before, the councilman is going to decide either way which way he's going to go, but he just wants to know what we think. One of the things that happened, and I'm just paraphrasing so you'll get a full understanding. One of the things that happened is that our district manager called them out based on some things that they were not doing properly. Since then, it appears that they may have taken care of that based on, the data that they've sent to the committees respectively. To that end, again, I'm not going to go into what they said. You can go back and look at all that information. And based on that, hopefully you will come up with an informed decision. The committee has made their recommendation, and now they ask that the board approve the tax abatement. And so now, as if there without any unreadness, I'm going to call for the vote. Okay, hearing none, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Dr. Berg. Judith Benitez, aye.
I'm sorry. What was the resolution? Was it in favor or in opposition?
The resolution was in favor if they built a sidewalk on Bowler Avenue.
Okay, thanks.
Can I continue?
Yes, Judith.
Thank you. Sydney Blair. Denise Bond.
Aye.
Ivan Torres. Carla Basati.
Aye.
Michelle Brumfield.
Abstain.
Marlene Brown. Victor Brown.
Aye.
Deacon Brown.
Aye.
Norbert Bryan. Sadie Campbell. Sadie Campbell. Joan Claude.
Aye.
Did Sadie answer? Okay. Beatrice Coronel.
Aye. Aye for Sadie.
That's Sadie.
Aye.
Tolene Dickerson.
Aye.
Kevin Eichelberger.
Aye.
Alfredo Figueroa.
Aye.
Hannah Galpali. Barbara Gibson.
Aye.
Johnny Goff. Robert Hall.
Abstain.
Lisa Hayes.
Abstain.
John Isaac.
Aye.
James Theodore.
Abstain.
Keisha Lago. Keisha Martin,
Nay.
Afalas, Carl Lenzano,
Abstain.
Huron Manzet, Shanika Moore,
Abstain.
Clinton Mike,
Aye.
Carmen Ortiz,
Nay.
Anthony Reed,
Aye.
Carrie Singh,
Aye.
Carl Stricker,
Aye.
Luke Zapados,
Aye.
Deborah Tirado,
Abstain.
Esther Yema,
Abstain.
Dr. Burke,
No.
give me a couple of seconds.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So do you want me to move on to the Parks Committee while you're tallying it up, Ms.
Yes.
Benitez?
Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So while Ms. Benitez is tallying that up, Mrs. Bond?
Yes, good evening. There were two recommendations that came before the Parks Committee. Two letters of support rather. One for the Woodlawn Playground reconstruction project, which is in the design phase. And they wanted the letter of support from Community Board 12. In the committee meeting, we voted in favor of that. And this took place going back to the January meeting. So if we could have a vote on that to once again give them the letter of support in reference to the Woodlawn Playground reconstruction.
Okay, so you're calling for a letter of support. So you are calling for us to accept your report and a letter of support for the Woodlawn Playground, you said, right? I thought that.
Correct.
Okay. Do we took a vote on that already? So do we need to take
But
another?
they never received the letter of support, Dr. Burke. So that's why it's being brought up again. Because
Okay.
in the March meeting, it was discussed that they never received a letter of support. So we just wanted to make sure to have it on the record and have the vote for it so that they could get the letter of support.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a motion of unanimous consent because I think we've also, so can you put that forth, Mrs. Bond? A motion of unanimous consent that we just vote for that?
Okay.
Because as I said,
I'm
ma'am?
sorry. Go ahead. What you were saying something
No, I was
else.
just saying, can you put forward a motion of unanimous consent that we vote for a letter of support without objection?
Right. I'm asking for the board to have a vote of unanimous consent on the Woodlawn Playground reconstruction without any dissent.
Okay, so we have a motion without, are there any other objections? No objections? So ordered. So that motion passes. So next one, Mrs. Bond?
Yes, the next one is the retaining wall at 233rd, actually between 234th and 236, close to Shoelace Park area. That reconstruction of that retaining wall, which was a presentation from Parks that they did, and the wall definitely needed to be, has to be taken care of, and we voted in committee to give them a letter of support for that reconstruction. So okay, go ahead.
So you want a motion of unanimous consent because I think everybody saw that well, most people saw that presentation that was there, and if they weren't, then they could also go to so there is some unreadiness before we call for the vote. So I see why Alfredo has his hand up,
Alfredo?
so we recognize him.
Hi, Ms. Bond. I just want to just.
Okay, hang on for a second before you ask your question, Alfredo.
236.
Board members, hang on, Alfredo, hang on. Board members, some of you have your mics open, okay? So Alfredo's trying to ask a question, so I'm going to ask that you please not be rude, okay? Please mute yourself so that Alfredo can ask a question to Mrs. Bond and everybody can hear. Thank you. Alfredo? Alfredo?
Sorry. It's between the war in question is between 236 and 234 and Bronx Boulevard. It's the war right off the I-87. As soon as you get off the I-87 by the gas station, by the car wash.
It's right off of, my understanding is right off of the Bronx River Parkway.
Yes, correct. No, because you mentioned Shoelace Park. That's on the other
Oh,
side.
sorry, my mistake.
I just wanted to clarify that. So thank you.
Sorry, my mistake, totally. But it is, you're correct. It is Bronx River Parkway, and it's a little bit late in the day for me. Bronx River Parkway, retaining wall there between 234th and 236th Street.
Okay, so that none of us are perfect. So Alfredo, thank you, Mrs. Bond, thank you. So Ms. Benitez, so before we call for that vote, I'm gonna call for a motion of unanimous consent for that. Can you read out the tally, Mrs. Benitez, for the land use housing vote?
The ayes have it.
What was the final count?
18 versus, including noes and the abstentions, it would be 12.
So the noes and abstention of 12. Okay. So board members, again, so we just approved a tax break. Think about that. Okay. But like I said, Mr. Weinstein, do you have any, since you're here, do you have any comments that you would like to offer before we move on to our next vote, or are you just here to observe?
No, only that, again, this is not a very unusual situation, and the developers, the management are seeking to extend their tax break, but that also extends keeping the protection for the tenants, and there will be work done. And we're fine with, asking them to be responsive to the community in terms of doing something about the rest of the back there, not only cleaning it up, but then putting in a long-term solution. We're fine with that.
Okay.
In fact, I would ask
Well,
just
again,
George,
I'm
when
sorry.
you can, George, just send me exact wording.
I mean, I just wanted you to comment, since you were here, and I didn't want to, because as I said, I don't dislike you, that. I just wanted you to, we may not agree on everything, but since you were here, I just wanted you to, chime in right quick. And so since you did, I really appreciate it. So thank you. Okay. Not a problem. Okay. So for the park, so Mrs. Bond has just asked for a motion of unanimous consent, I think.
Wait, I didn't get to ask it yet because we were answering.
Okay. My apologies.
Yeah,
Okay.
no worries. I was answering Alfredo's question, clarifying question.
Okay.
Okay. And so at this point, can I have the vote of unanimous consent with no dissent for the letter of support for the retaining wall?
Okay, so Mrs. Bond has asked us to again accept that, and she's asking for a motion of unanimous consent for the retaining wall between, is it 233rd, 234th, 236th Street, right, Alfredo? Okay.
234th, 236 Bronx River Parkway.
Yes, in Bronx River Parkway. Okay. So are there any objections to this motion? No objections? So ordered. So the letter of support for both motions passed. So we need to make certain that we get that out. So thank you so much, Mrs. Bond, for your work on that. And
thank you.
No
Can
problem.
I give a point of information? Can I give a point of information, please, Dr. Burke?
Of
They
course,
already
Mr. Strickland.
they already started to work over there. Of course, I can hear it overnight because they work from 11 p to 6 a.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Strickland. All right. Our next committee recommendation is coming from Ms. Benitez, who's the chairperson of the Economic Development and Business Services Committee. Ms. Benitez?
Thank you, Dr. Burke. Tonight, we only have one group that's coming up for a renewal of their license this time around. The name of the group is the Wembley Athletic Club, located at 55 East 239th Street. This club it's a private club. members only. It has been in the community for many years. It's a not-for-profit group. And as I said, it's for members only. We've had no complaints about this group. They seem to be they are outgoing to the community. They give Christmas party for the children. They do school, back to school drives. So they seem to be fairly decent type of people. So what I'm recommending from the board is that we approve the renewal license of the Wembley Athletic Club Incorporated. That's it, Dr. Burke. Thank you.
You're welcome, and I just realized I was muted. So we have a recommendation on the floor from the Economic Development Committee to approve the renewal. So I'm going to try to make this quick again. So I know where Mr. Brown, Mr. Victor Brown always votes, and I know where I always vote. So for everybody else, you know, I know some of you abstain, some of you vote aye. So I'm going to have Ms. Benitez do a roll call vote. Mr. Brown, Mr. Victor Brown, you can almost pencil in as a no, and the same for me. Everybody else, you can vote your conscience.
Okay. Judith Benitez, aye. Sydney Blair. Denise Bond.
Aye.
Ivan Boras. Carla Basati.
Aye.
Michelle Brumfield.
Aye.
Marlene Brown.
Aye.
Victor Brown, we know. I don't even have to say it.
Okay.
Deacon Brown.
Aye.
Norbert Bryan. Sadie Campbell.
Aye.
Joan Claude.
Aye.
Beatrice Cornell.
Aye.
Charlene Dickerson.
Aye.
Kevin Eichelberger.
Abstain.
Alfredo Figueroa.
Aye.
Hannah Gapali. Barbara Gibson. Barbara Gibson.
Aye.
Thank you. Johnny Goff. Robert Hall.
Aye.
Who's that?
Barbara Gibson, aye.
I got you, Barbara. Thank you. Robert Hall.
Aye.
You're welcome.
Lisa Hayes.
Aye.
John Isaac.
Aye.
Theodore James.
Abstain.
Keisha Martin.
Aye.
Afalas. Paul Lanzano.
Abstain.
Huron Manzet. Shanika Moore. Thank you, Shanika. Clinton Mike.
Abstain.
Carmen Ortiz.
Aye. Aye.
Got you. Anthony Reed.
Aye.
Harry Singh.
Aye.
Carl Stricker.
Aye.
Luke Zabados.
Aye.
Deborah Tirado.
Aye.
Esther Yema.
Aye.
Dr. Berg.
You know where I'm at, Ms. Benitez. I always vote no.
I know. I got you.
So that's what so that's it. So, but it sounds
The
like the
ayes
ayes
have
have
it.
it. So the motion passes. Okay, so let's wrap this meeting up by old business and new business. So let me just give an update on the master plan. We haven't started it yet because it seems like we're still constantly getting good information, but I'm going to be reaching out to, I've already reached out initially to some of the organizations, so I'm going to be following up probably to get started sometime during the summer months. So that's just a quick update on that. And so I will let the board know what we're going to do because we're going to need board members to help with that, as well as community partners. The good news is that clearly we do good things here at Community Board 12. And the reason I say that is because other organizations have already copied our idea. So we birthed the idea in November of last year. And since then, we've had 2 organizations that are within our community board copy the idea for their organization. So clearly we're doing great things here at Community Board 12. So I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your efforts. Next, I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Keisha Lago Martin on the newsletter. So, Mrs. Martin, the floor is yours.
Are you able to share that? Let me see. Yeah, if
You
you
want
could
me
share
to
it.
share it? Well, you can share it.
If you can share it, that would be great.
Okay, you want me to share it? All right,
Yeah.
let's see here. All right, so let
All
me
right.
go
So while
share.
you're looking for it, good evening, everyone. This is the second iteration of this newsletter. So you'll remember a few months back, Sydney and I initially introduced this to the board and took your feedback. And from that feedback came this second iteration of the newsletter. The information that you'll see on the top is just general information about community boards that we pulled from the Bronx Borough President's website, upcoming meeting dates, and then the monthly committee meeting dates. The idea was to give members of the community a sense of what we do, what committees meet, and let them know that they can join those committees, not as voting members, obviously, but for the information. That information that's at the top, once we've sent the newsletter out a number of times, will move to the bottom because really what the community is going to want to know about is the work that we're doing. So you'll remember earlier today, Mr. Moses was on the call and he was saying that, he's been to meetings and things have come up and there's never been any follow-up. So this newsletter will give us an opportunity to give that information. So folks may come to one meeting and don't know what maybe the committees have been discussing on the back end. And so this newsletter, if you scroll down, will allow us an opportunity to give them those updates. So you'll see year in review here, but that could literally be committee updates or committee highlights. And then we can have each committee highlighted. And what can essentially happen is chairs of certain committees can connect with me and give me the highlight that they want to communicate for the month in this newsletter. So these are some things that we had discussed, over the course of the past year in the community, on the community board, which is why it says year in review, because our thoughts were initially to send this out like at the end of 2021. So it was going to be a year in review of all the things that we had discussed in the community board, or not all of them, but the highlights, the things that we felt were important. But at this point, I think it's best to start off with just highlights from each of our committees. What I can do is share this with Ursula to share with the greater community, all of you, obviously. And maybe you all can give me feedback there. I don't want to take up too much time, but just want you to know that your feedback was heard and this is what came of it.
So let me just say this, Mrs. Martin. So I'm putting this up. So this idea actually came to me from one of our community members. So, the one thing that I always do, and most of us do, is we go out into the community and we listen to our constituents. And, one of several people mentioned this idea to me. and I know that Alfredo and Lucy came up with something about a business resource guide, which that's something we can highlight a business or two in here. But in listening to that particular member, in that way, it was an idea that was pitched to Mrs. Martin, and she and Ms. Blair gladly took it on when they had the time. And so I just wanted to first of all thank them publicly for their work, because I mean, like I said, it's fantastic what they've done, because I think that we have done a lot of work, and some people in the community know about it and others don't, and I think we need to toot our own horn. And so that's what this labor of love is from Mrs. Martin. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to take, if anybody has 2 questions for Mrs. Martin, and then we're going to get on to the last part of the meeting and then adjourn.
So I have a question. This is Michelle Bromfield.
Hi.
So a newsletter is
Okay, wait,
excellent.
before we begin, okay, too many of you have your mics open, which is problematic, all right, and it's problematic. So I'm going to ask, if you have a question, all right, that you raise your hand. I see Renee has her hand raised, and although Renee, can you put your question in the chat and I'll pose it to Keisha, please, Renee? If you could put your question in the chat for me, I'd appreciate it. Please, Renee. Thank you. Ms. Bromfield.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Burke. I'm sorry I didn't raise my hand. I guess I was out of order, so I'm sorry about that. So
That's
I have
okay.
a question. So newsletters are great. I just wanted to know if I'm correct. Did you say at the end of the year would be when the newsletter would come out? Is that correct?
No. So our plan is to send it monthly. So the goal would be for chairs of different committees to communicate with me what highlight it is that they would want in the newsletter. The initial one that we put together, the draft that you saw, was going to be a year in review. But that is basically the template. So the template will look similar to what you saw. And instead of year in review, it would be, committee updates. And then each committee would be listed. Some committees may not have anything for a month. I mean, I would expect that every committee would have something to report in the newsletter. So not their minutes, but just something that they're proud of, something that they may have been working on, something that they voted on. So truly a highlight. Something that the members of the community may have been fighting for and maybe have expressed the concern, like in the beginning, in our general session, in the beginning of our meetings. But they don't know that these things were discussed in committee. This is an opportunity for them to see, our work in action. So it would not be just once a year. The goal would be for it to be monthly.
Okay, so Renee has put her question in the chat, and so thank you, Renee. So she says, thank you. Please also put it on YouTube and Facebook. So Renee, I'm assuming that you're talking about the newsletter that she suggests, Keisha, that we put it on YouTube and Facebook as well, and we can do that. So I think that is a great work. And right now you're getting praise in the chat from board members, Keisha, so you can read that. But I'm
sorry, just one more thing.
Sure.
The other thing too is, so if I don't hear from a particular chair, I likely won't reach out. I will likely seek your minutes. If you are taking minutes from each meeting, if those are posted and I don't hear from you, I can just refer to those and pull something from there. But ideally, I would love to hear, what it is that you'd like to see written.
Well, Keisha, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because we were building fantastic camaraderie, and unfortunately, we were derailed. But I think we're going to get back to that this summer. I have some ideas that I will, poise near the end, which actually takes us into new business, which I kind of sort of I'm at pain when I see this under new business, and so I'm tempted to table it. But I'll just say this, board members. So. As you heard Ms. Alexis Ruiz say at the very beginning, our terms actually end next week, Thursday. So if you chose not to get, reapply, then your term ends. Or if you moved out of the area, your term ends. And so, the two names that are on the list for expulsion, what I'm hoping happens, even though we should probably do it, is that since the term ends, I'm hoping that we have at least alerted the borough president to what they should do, because in the first case, Ms. Last is someone who was a faithful member of this board until some things occurred. And again, I'm not going to go into details because I think we all know what it is. But all of a sudden, she lost interest. And I've reached out to her several times, and I know a number of you have as well. And pretty much, I begged her to let me know what was going on. If she didn't want to serve, not to, and she did not respond. So I'm going to just presume that she's now missed a year's worth of meetings. So I see Ursula has her hand up. So I can only presume, if I don't hear from you, that you don't want to serve. But Ursula has her hand up. Maybe she has some information that I don't. So Ursula.
I just want to say that I sent the letter certified return receipt. It came back to me addressee unknown.
Okay. Then maybe she's moved. So I'm going to, and Mr. Manzanet, he did write to me and tell me that he no longer wanted to serve. However, I need to forward that to the BP's office. And so I'm just going to just send a note, and hopefully we don't have to vote on it, and just tell the borough president's office that they're no longer going to serve. Okay. As far as the health fair, job fair, that's something that we can table, because I had some ideas that I want to present to you, but I want to table that till later. And so I'm going to get into the good and welfare and go from there. So for February, since I didn't chair the meeting, we missed our February birthdays. So Anthony Reed had a birthday last month. Toleen Dickerson had a birthday last month. Yeah, you the birthday man. And Mrs. Claude had a birthday last month as well. So I want to acknowledge all of our February birthdays. And this month, I know that Denise Bond has a birthday this month. Kevin Eichelberger has a birthday this month. And we have a birthday today. So just to let you know, one of our board members on this call has a birthday today. And that board member is Ms. Shaniqua Moore. So Ms. Moore has a birthday today. So happy birthday.
Happy
Shaniqua.
birthday.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so
We
much.
won't reveal your age, because you're not supposed to
Happy
ask her her
birthday.
age or anything like that. And
I'm 21 today, Dr. Burt.
You're 21. Okay. Well, you know what?
Yes.
We will accept that you're 21. So happy birthday today. And also March anniversary. So we would like to also wish a happy anniversary to Mr. and Mrs. Victor Brown, who celebrate their wedding anniversary this month. So Mr. Brown, please wish your lovely wife a happy anniversary from Community Board 12. So before we...
I certainly will, and I want to mention that it is 62 years.
Wow.
Okay, that has been good.
That's a long time, Mr. Brown. That's a long time. So thank you so much. So before we end, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Carl Lanzano and Ms. Sydney Blair. So as I said before, just some of the work that they have done over the years, it is deeply appreciated. And I just want to publicly acknowledge them, as I acknowledge all of you, because look, none of us are getting paid to do this, right? And we do this because it is a labor of love. And so the fact that each of you are here, as I said before, it is never about me, right? It is always about you. It's about we. And only together can we do this. Community board, chairs, constituents, and our elected officials as well, and NAB members and everybody else. So again, thank you so much for what you do. So do we have any announcements before I call for an adjournment to the meeting?
May I say something, Mike?
Oh, yes, you may, Mr. Lanzano.
If I may. As you know, I haven't I've told the borough president that I'm not seeking reappointment, but I would like to acknowledge my appreciation to the people I've gotten to know over the last 10 years, if I may. It's been a great 10 years, and if I may, I'd like to mention them.
Ms.
Ursula,
Lanzano, the floor is yours.
Ursula, uh, Ursula Green, George Torres, even Peter the janitor, you, Mike, Ivan Boris, Bob Hall, John Isaac, Alfredo, Colleen, Johnny Goff, Joan Claude, Carmen Ortiz, Sadie, Judith Benitez, Anthony Reed, Victor and Deacon Brown, my Woodlawn colleagues, Carl Stricker and Carla Bassati, Barbara Gibson, Clinton Mike Agiria, Harry Singh, Shaniqua Moore, Beatrice Coronel, Hillary, and a lot of members, new members on the board, and host of new members that are no longer on the board that I got to know and love. I'd like to thank you for a rewarding 10 years and the opportunity to serve the community and contribute whatever I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because my computer is frozen now, so I can't see anything. So everything is frozen as far as I can see. So Ms. Lanzano, again, thank you for everything that you've done. Like I said, you and I have spoken privately, and we'll speak again, going forward. And so I saw some hands up, and as I said before, my computer is frozen. So I saw Ms. Brumfield's hand, and I saw Mr. Hall's hand, and then I'm gonna call for a motion to close.
So Dr. Berg, I also celebrated in February as a new board member. So it was also my birthday in February. So you could add me to your list. Thank you.
Okay. So yes, I did not have you. So Ms. Brumfield, I will add you to the February list. So thank you, Ms. Brumfield.
Dr. Burke, this is under
Yes, sir.
Yeah, under old news. In 2016, Russell LeCount made a motion to have some trees built on Holland Avenue between Gun Hill Road and Magenta Street. I would like for everyone to know that DOT finally made the outlay for the trees. It has taken this long, but I guess perseverance personified. We're getting him. All right, it's gonna come.
Well, Mr. Hall, somewhere in my lifetime, I've heard that, perseverance is a cardinal principle. And, we've always been taught that perseverance is the key. So, to that end, thank you for your hard work, Mr. LeCount. Although I've never met him, I do know who he is through the stewardship of others in the community. And so thank you very, very much. So I'd like to ask for a motion for adjournment.
Dr. Burke, I'm sorry, I had my hand up.
My computer's frozen, so I apologize. So Mrs. Bond, yes.
No problem. Sorry, Keisha, can you get a chance? Can you please check the chat and just, I put my phone number in the chat to you. Just please call me. Thank you.
Dr. Burke, there's several hands up actually.
Okay, yeah, well, I can't. John, can you facilitate it? Because as I said, my computer's frozen.
All right, so I have two things. One is that it was my intention to introduce a motion that the board send a letter to the borough president regarding the continuation of virtual meetings, but I believe George addressed that early on. That came out of one of our meetings earlier this month. And the second thing is, actually forgot what, the second thing was a couple of years ago, there was some correspondence regarding supposedly term limits for board members. Can you give us any update or status on that, Dr. Burke?
Well, sure. So, I think that, I know that we had discussed that in a bylaws committee meeting. Despite the fact that it stated that we voted on it, I don't remember that vote taking place, but I will always go back and look. I could be dead wrong on that. as far as the term limits that board members have, I know that we board members are term limited by the election. I want to say in 2018, I want to say that New York City voted to term limit board members. So I think that started in 2020 or 2021. I'm not certain, but we have 8-year term limits. So in other words, you can only serve no more than 8 years on a community board, then you have to cycle off. And then if you want to reapply, then of course you'd have to reapply after a 2-year absence. So those are the term limits that I know about. As far as the executive officers, again, that's something that, we're looking into, and I will go back and make certain that I'm not misquoting, because, I want to make certain, as I try to be as honest as I possibly can and, go forward. And like I said, and that's something that we had discussed, whether it be 1 year for executive officers, whether it be 2 years, and, term limited that because we are now term limited. So as far as how many years we can serve on the board, so you can only serve an 8-year term. And so I think that's where that discussion came about. And so what I'm going to do is go back and make certain that I have it right, and the bylaws committee is going to make certain that we have it right, and then go forward from there. Okay.
I have a question to
Hi.
Hold on. I'm seeing a whole bunch of hands up.
Okay, so let me ask this question. So is this good and welfare? So what are we? Because like I said, we're trying to close the meeting. So what are these questions in regard to, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, so this is Carla. I was going to follow up on Mr. James's question about term limits.
Okay,
because
sure.
I do have that handy, bizarrely. Yeah, this really is kind of old business, I guess, rather than good and welfare. Community board members originally allowed to serve unlimited 2-year terms are now limited to 4 2-year terms. The new term limits apply to board members appointed or reappointed on or after April 1st, 2019. So if you were appointed or reappointed for a term commencing April 1st, 2020, those members have 5 consecutive 2-year terms. So I just want people to realize that it's not 4 terms for everyone. It depends on when you were last reappointed, because the point of that is so that the entire board does not get replaced in the same year. So we can discuss this further in another meeting. I just wanted to clarify that whether you have 4 terms or 5 terms is dependent on your last date of appointment or reappointment. So I hope that helped a little bit. But yeah, let's put that on a future agenda for more discussion. Okay.
All right, Denise Bond.
Oh, sorry, I asked my question already. Thank you.
Okay. Michelle Bloomfield, you asked your question already?
Yes, I did, John. I'm sorry if my hand is still up. I need to take it down.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, I can't take it down because, as I said, my computer is frozen.
I presented a question to you in the chat. So I want to know.
Who is this?
Xiomara.
Okay, so Xiomara, we're kind of sort of done with the public speaking part. So this is for board members. So
I know it has to do with
so if you post it in the chat, then
I did.
I
put it in the
okay,
chat.
so we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
We'll take a look at it.
All right.
Okay, so if we're done, then again, I'm going to ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All
Second.
right. So the motion's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further unreadness before we close the meeting? All those in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All opposed have the same right.
Aye.
Motion passes. So with that being said, Mr. Carl Lanzano, can you please be the person that takes us out?
God bless you, Carl.
God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Wait a minute. Wait. He has to pray, everybody.
Okay. God bless the board. God bless us all.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you for letting me share, and I thank God I had the opportunity to do it. And you people have all helped, and you're doing a great job. And I hope you continue on and do even more and better work than you have. God has blessed us. We've had setbacks. We have people that left and people have passed away. But God's always on our side, and we have to work with him, and he loves us, and I love him, and I love you. Amen.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lanzano. So with
Amen,
that,
amen,
I'm
amen.
gonna
Thank you.
Amen. Stop the recording.
Congrats.
And congratulate
Thank you, Carl. It's been a pleasure.